So here we go with attempt number 2. My internet seems to have gotten over its hiccup, and yeah, might as get myself a new router
Hmm.
eventually here to actually, hopefully, maybe fix it forever. But with German internet, you never know. And yeah, we are here back into Division 1 here, into the tiebreaker game of Division 1. We will have some more Division 2 games later coming for you guys as well that are important for who goes on to the playoffs as well. But first, the final decider of who moves on into the playoffs here between Fortitude Fans and Surrealist Gunter. And all of that in a hot matchup, as it is 6 US Infantry versus 157th Motor Strelki. The two new divisions against each other in the hands of the tricksters here. And this should be pretty hot. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. And let's talk about this matchup here. What do you
Ye-
think are the strengths and weaknesses of these two divisions?
So starting out with sixth, and I want to note I haven't played any of these divisions yet. I'm only getting money tomorrow, so I can buy the DLC if I want to. But uh, but yeah, the sixth US really seems to be the weaker of the two. It's basically an airborne division. It has so many cards of forward deployment that there is no maximum limit on the amount of airborne you want to play with it. But you also get a wider selection of more affordable and more efficient units, such as National Guards and just standard American units. You have Cockvey AGLs, which are nice. I believe these Fireteam Dragons are locked into zero vet, though. You know, you have that kind of peculiarities there. There are one of the Ito cars, one of my favorite units when they are in 24th. Excellent unit to start out the game with, really good for the price, speed, destructive capacity. Eyehawks are, of course, amazing. But outside of its air spam capacity, it really doesn't have ways to scale. It lacks basically all tanks outside of the ACAV M48 patterns. It relies on expensive TOW2 vehicles and TOW2s in general on defense. Doesn't have Apaches. Only has high altitude bombers basically, which is a weakness in and of itself. You pay extra with the Corsairs for their price, and their speed and their survivability isn't the best. So I think sixth is going to be one of those niche divisions that is going to be really nice in some matchups. Some players will specialize on them and will become famous in playing them. But I doubt it's going to be like a major stay in Warno ranked or even Warno competitive. The more powerful of the two divisions, in my opinion, is 157th Motostelkovaya. I think this is the new KDA. Remember back when KDA was good? I remember and I hate it. But this is not going to be like Spetsnaz KDA, don't worry. I think this is more of a reliable, straightforward to play spam division that can achieve results in many contexts. It's not without weaknesses, and I think people will learn to play against those weaknesses. Specifically, I think heavy tanks can counter pretty well most 157th play with the if an enemy with a decent tank tab recognizes that they can scale up early and start getting the tanks out early, they could maybe develop the sort of killing power that you can't really respond to with 157th. You get your planes, of course, and you get a really nice air supremacy fighter. You get the Krug, which is just fun and nice. Everybody loves the Krug. Nobody's a Krug hater. With its 10% accuracy on whatever against Eagles. And I think generally the fundamentals of 157th are just way better, and you can upvet your units into veterancy one, which is absolutely massive for reservist divisions. Reservisti just get results. They're cheap. They're 30 points. They're nice. They get the better infantry weapons. I think the Suojeluskunta, if Suojeluskunta is going to become a 157th player, I think that's going to be they're going to be very powerful in the future.
Yeah. And the important T10 that you mentioned, that fighter and the Krug, are pretty key in this matchup in my eyes, because when there is something that 6 can do, it's air spam. The A7 actually aren't all high altitude bombers. The A7 with bombs actually dives. It's a bit weird because the cluster is a high altitude, so it's a bit inconsistent. But that's classic huge in there. And without an indicator to tell you if it's a dive bomber or a high altitude bomber, you will never know. Um, but yeah, we have ITOs here coming around as well, and we have a Humvee from the get-go. And I think the matchup for both sides here is going to go into X-Ray, as that's especially where Soyalos Conta is going in massively. Like, only a small token force towards Alpha. Both sides only a small force around Lima and Oscar. And X-Ray is where it's all about here. And that's going to be a pretty heavy showdown from the get-go here.
Yeah, I mean, Fortitude Defense is investing in Navy SEAL, and that's like 110 points already with plus the Scout. So I think Navy SEAL might be a little bit of an aggressive positioning that is necessary if you want to win playing sixth. Fortitude is getting in the single airborne squad inside X-Ray, but we're seeing 5 squads followed up by leaders, followed up by TO-55s, as well as the quad AA gun equipped ZPU 4 trucks. And all of this covered under 2 air supremacy fighters. The ACAVs will now move in and try to fire, but a heavy mortar is already blocking the sideline, preventing the long-range American weaponry, the ITOs, TO2s, from doing actual damage. The BTR 152 is a 100 kph road speed vehicle with 1,800 rounds of 7.62, and it transports the squad, and it's 15 points. It's really nice. It is basically not worth the dragon rounds that are being fired at it, but if you don't kill them, the damage they do will build up. And they also allow the Reservisti to get there in really quick time. So if you want to keep up a push, these 100 kph half tracks, basically, not half tracks really, but kind of half track adjacent, they'll do the job for you really efficiently.
Yeah, and the T-55s are also hard to deal with. Like, your M48s, they can deal damage, but they also get killed off quite quickly by them. So you have to be careful. The TO-55 also coming with a flamethrower that can be extra helpful in the CQC engagements. And the TOW-2 that can one-shot them just went down. So the other units will take a bit of a time to kill them, and they are pretty cheap, pretty numerous. Double plane opener here from Soyalos Kuntam, realizing that that's the easiest way for Fortitude fans to win the game by air. But Fortitude fans not bringing in the air, instead going with heavy AA here to push back those fighters and maybe bring the planes right after. As in the meantime, we have a big fight here. Airborne Dragons, ITOs all going down. And the TO-55s now still fighting on here, pushing back the ACAVs, which come with 0 veterancy plus reservist here, so once they get stressed, they don't come back. And Soyalos Conta successful with the capture of the middle, but at the same time, Fortitude fans on the aggression in the north, and might be able to at least keep the point tick from going in favor of Soyalos Conta there.
Yeah, Soyalos Kunta is containing the Navy SEALs, making the Navy SEAL investment basically completely worthless with a single Rasvedka and single Fagot unit. BTR 40's machine gun will suppress the unit, so it's stupid for the Navy SEALs to go and go solo and over the top. TO-55s are now breaking into the middle. They are getting outside of their cover range. They don't have smoke, and the ITOs are opening fire. There are even more TOs further up north, but meanwhile, the M48s are actually getting good damage done and pushing deep into the northern area, which is the natural counterweight if your enemy invests a lot into X-ray. The areas up north are way easier to capture because you have such covered reinforcement roads and a lot of urban area there. The X-ray position capture early on is a worthwhile risk in most cases, and especially if you're playing a build-up based infantry spam division, getting the areas up north in the late game is completely realistic, especially if you already have map control around the middle, which is what Soyalos Kunta seems to want to take. Soyalos Kunta doesn't want to allow the enemy to have this immediate location to siege, because if the enemy is driven away from there, that means Fortitude is going to have to cover a way larger front line with more expensive units generally.
Yeah, the push through the middle. The killing of Totus is also so important. You don't get super many of those. You get 2 cards maximum of 3 each. And if you kill off the first 2 here early on, and there might only be 1 card, that would be a massive start, because that's the tool that can one-shot the TO 55s. So getting the kills there would be key. Meanwhile, the second Totu up in the north gets one of the TO 55s there though. No smoke on those guys, so they are pretty vulnerable if you don't smoke them with mortars. But the mortar smoke keeps coming for now and allows Soyal's Kunta to get a decent push in. But now the Cobras. There's no AA here. That's a big problem. No BTR 40 with AA guns to help this out. That's usually the unit that you want to use with your pushes as AA. But we didn't see that recon unit here at all. And at the same time, SU-25 here, so Yellow's actually the one to first invest into an attack aircraft when he already knew that an IHawk was around. That was pretty suicidal.
Yeah, there are 2 AA guns coming in on pretty fast, so unless the Cobras immediately start pushing further, I think with their lack of rocket ammunition means that the AA guns will likely get into some kind of place. But so far, looking at these engagements, the positions of Suojeluskunta, I think, allow for excellent future spam gameplay. The engagements right now only need to stabilize the front line, and taking out these helicopter counterattacks, I think, is going to put Suojeluskunta into a pretty nice spot. The front line here will be so vast that the main way to counter will be by putting the infantry ATGM teams all around the place. And Suojeluskunta already has a Bereg artillery gun here. This is like Suojeluskunta is prepared for this. The tow cobras are a problem right now, but I think everything else here is counterable pretty easily even.
Yeah, but the tow cobra might push him all the way back to X-ray here, and might even cost him all his units on the way there. A10 coming in as well, and we saw the fighters being pushed back. One of them getting hit by the IHawk, and yeah, that's the issue here. Where are the AA pieces? Where is the BA40, the B40A? Where is the...
Okay, there it is.
Where's the crook? The T10 comes in. The IHawk can retaliate though. T10 gets the kill here, so that's pretty nice. The IHawk doesn't get the final shot off, but at least the A10 goes down. But it did get most of its value already. So yes, the A10 got killed, but it still got 2 tanks on the ground. It still got a kill in the north as well against an AA gun. And that means now the helicopters can move north. Like, Soyalus is not setting up nicely against the only wind condition in my eyes that 6 has in this matchup. And I'm pretty shocked by that. Like, the air is the way to victory here for Fortitude fans. And not bringing a Krug early on here is a weird decision.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a double-sided overextension. One of them being an overextension of forces forwards because the trades had been so good. And when you do those sorts of pushes, you immediately want to buy early on reinforcements for yourself. And this meant that the anti-air fighters, which were numerous, were both out of fuel. And there was no ground AA. The defensive units were just bought too late, and this has resulted in a massive pendulum shift with the recon A10 now moving out there and getting fired upon by the TikTok fighter. But the investments into these expensive planes are massive, and this situation completely necessitates Suojeluskunta starts to turtle. If Fortitude can actually manage to do something here, there are not that many units for them either, but the ACAVs can take ground pretty well. But I doubt that Fortitude is gonna catch is going to push into the zone. But most certainly, when both sides gain reinforcements, the second wave will be Fortitude attacking from better positions.
Yeah, the barrack was coming in too early here. I think that is the unit that should have been a Krug, and maybe an extra manpad or so to help out the front line. But the situation just deteriorated against 2 helicopters and 2 A10s here. Like 2 helicopters and A10s just completely killed off the front line. And now, what do we have here? We have 2 Rashvedka teams, a Fagot, and 2 S60s as the whole front line of Suelos Kunta in this game. Like, this is rough. This is really rough right now. The T10s at least are still around and can come in potentially again. But until then, the situation here is in a really bad spot. And the TOW2s are still around in some numbers. And especially the helicopter squadron not being wounded in any shape or form is a really big problem.
Yeah, I think Suelos Kunta thought that there was a chance to actually have a continuous tank breakthrough. Like the buys of infantry reinforcements and the artillery buy kind of spoke that Suelos Kunta wanted to keep going instead of starting the turtle from a good position. And yeah, that got punished hard. Alaskan cavalry scouts, the recon units that are locked into veterancy 2, but also have disheartened trait, have now been landed, and they will be able to start pushing alongside with this Stinger and sniper units. But meanwhile, Suelos Kunta's modernized T-55s armed with the Bastion missiles have now landed, are currently under the cover of 2 fighter planes, and the Berek is opening fire against the ACAV.
And yeah, we see some Fagots coming in. We see a good amount of Reservisti coming in. At least you can replace stuff. We still don't see a Krug. And you will have to micro the Krug because there are decent siege planes on the other side, obviously. So you have to be careful on how you use it. But I don't feel like you can win this game without it. Not having any Shilka or so, or anything like that, is a bit of an issue. Though at least the S60s got buffed slightly lately. So against A10s, they have decent capabilities with lower aim time and slightly better range. But yeah, it's gonna be tough to deal with that. And even on the ground, the situation currently is pretty even. Like, there is more red reinforcements coming in, so I do believe the ground forces on their own can stabilize. But the issue is the rest. So getting into some good trades here maybe again, killing off some M48s or so, that could help putting up the pressure again, but you still need to keep yourself alive against the next wave of airplanes. And with 42 fans, you always know the next wave of airplanes is coming in eventually.
Yeah, both the MiG-23 and the T-10 have 240-second autonomy, which means that they have the longer amount of time that they can just hang around and patrol. But if they waste all of that fuel, it's gonna take a longer time for them to be there, to come back and start the patrol again, because they need to resupply the fuel, right? And the lack of a Krug, I understand people not liking the Krug, even though I personally adore it. I want to marry it, but like it's like the threat of the Krug is necessarily at the very least, even if it's never gonna hit. The threat of it is required. Otherwise, the enemy can just use the observation A10s, the OA10s, and like go back to your backlines and just like kill all of your artillery or something. Like, that's a real risk playing against 6th, because they have the recon plane, attack planes.
Yeah, Mi-8 MT, Mi-8 TV moving around. The fighters got pushed back. Second T10 comes around though, so the F-15 might have to be careful here, as both the MiG-23 and the T-10 coming in, both are missing everything so far. Oh my goodness! Oh my... It has to go down, right? I think the guns will get it. Yeah, F-15 goes down, but both MiG-23 and T-10 shot 8 missiles and
they
6
don't have any missiles left, and the A10s are coming. Oh no, this is horrible. They don't have enough ammo. Okay, another MiG-23 is coming out there, and
oh, the Eagle! Oh, the Eagle buy-in just as they turned. So Suelos Kunta overextended so massively there. MiG-23 number 2 comes around, is straight going for the A10s. That's not a good idea here. Not above iHawks, not with an Eagle around. Eagle gets a hit. iHawk so most likely will get another shot out here. Stingers will get a shot out here. This MiG-23 is going down, isn't it? Yeah, MiG-23 down. A10s, one of them goes down in the center as well, as I believe the S-30s got some hits on there and actually got a kill there. But That's really, really bad if you don't have a single Krug on the battlefield. Losing the fighters like that, overextending. Yeah, Soliolo Skunta is not really realizing what the one win condition that he has to avoid is here, and just plays the air game. Pretty rough so far.
Yeah, I mean there was some bad luck going on there as well, but there should have been a reaction. There should have been an immediate just retreat. Just do not allow this to happen. I think what Suelos Kunda is kind of playing like is that they are trying to get a maximum amount of kills with their units, kind of thinking that the losses don't matter necessarily as much as the kills. But with those airplanes, this is not the case. With those airplanes, he does not have any space here to lose those things. A first Corsair bomber is now coming and targeting the T-55 AM1s.
Yeah, and just nukes them. It has a lot of 900 kilogram bombs. The T10 comes around. The T10 comes around and gets the kill against it. So it's at least a trade, but two T-55 AM1s, they are pretty expensive. So that's 280 points they're lost. And that just means once more less on the ground. The T-55A is suffering against ATGMs here as well, as there's nothing against these helicopters. The S-30s should push a bit further forward. Yeah, they are now pushing around, opening up against the Cobras, but that's too late. The T-55 already down, and once more, there's basically next to nothing left on the ground here for Sailor's Counter. Issue for Fortitude Fences, it's kind of similar for him, but as he doesn't have much in the center, as he has to invest too much into the air, but he has a good bit more in the north here, with even some potential maybe going deep into Bravo there. But Sailor's Counter is just losing stuff to helicopters in the airs. That is really, really painful.
Yeah, the Suelos Kunta is bringing out the Commendatura Usilenia, which in these games, as the DLCs have come out, I think everybody has learned that the best MP units are high health MP units. MP units are kind of supposed to be the anchor that holds to itself all the disheartened units around them. And in the vanilla game, we had those 4-man squads, and basically only those 4-man squads, and which kept the MP trade from being underutilized. But I think with the Commendatura Usilenia, these reservisti here are immensely powerful. Like these, with the up here, they are acting as standard Bet 2 units. I think this is a very, very nice method that we're seeing here.
Yeah,
getting results.
Those infantry props that you can set up with the military police and the reservist units in 157th, they are really powerful. The issue is that you always have to jump through these hoops to set it up, and that is a bit of extra micro, that is a bit of extra complexity on the board, but once you get that, you have a really cost-efficient blob, and that's the nice part. You have a decent amount of BMP-1s here now coming in as well. I still don't quite know how Solilos Kunta wants to go anywhere though, and they are the one that need to go somewhere, as they are behind in points. But Alpha, with some artillery play, could absolutely be doable. We now see 2 Krugs entering the battlefield. They finally have arrived, so this is going to be interesting as well.
Minutes.
And yeah, TO-55s rolling in as well. Whilst we have 3 Cobras still on the battlefield. The recon helicopters at least all shut down, but 3 Cobras still is a powerful squad, especially if you consider that there is a good build of A10 and Corsair power behind this as well.
Yeah, I think this squad of the Usilenia Reservisti and the Comroti, the commander, I think these get such great results, even against the NG rifles that are also upvetted, and also the USAF security here. The fact that the Reservisti are in buildings, and the fact that the Reservisti have the smoke cover here, I think they will push through Fortitude Fence's infantry. And then what that leads to is Fence having to use all of the fire support here, the Dragon M113s, the Cobras, and the ACAVs to do the damage. And then there should be some kind of a response from Suelos Kunta. But Suelos Kunta can only deal with the helicopters, with the massive amount of ZPU-4 trucks. The tanks are not in position. The BMP-1s did not push up north. So I think this is going to be now a permanent smoke cover, trying to get in here and just bring down the tick. And what the the purpose of the group of Motostrelki in the middle, I don't know yet. The BMP ones are moving down south and getting killed by some meeting some pathfinders. I think the Motostrelki might get something done if Fence doesn't react to this in time, but I really don't see the tactical value. I mean, I like destroying the ACAB, but the rest of it in the middle, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, 08 10A coming around again here. The recon plane pushing back the CV, getting the CV out of there. CV didn't get enough stuff done here, and the point advantage is still with Fortitude Vents. Then Urals now under fire, getting shredded, and not quite getting the damage in, but here comes the Krug, and on short range it just obliterates. So Krug finally here, finally getting a kill. Corsair rockets are in the rear here, but they will have to be careful. Meanwhile, iHawk in the south absolutely yanks Mi-8, and there is potential for Fortitude Fence just going for Lima here. There is not that much protection in front of it anymore, and so Skunta threw a good couple of units away down there, so this has some chances for Fortitude Fence to really turn up the heat here.
Yeah, the smoke motor ran out of ammunition, and as the smoke cover vanished, all the offensive was just completely destroyed by the fire support. This is Sueluskunta, I think, has too many units in the middle to do this attack. Just straight up.
Oh, Cobra coming in for the Krugs, and there is one massive weakness of the Krugs: they can't target helicopters. Oh, there is nothing against helicopters here. This is disaster. This is an absolute disaster. The BTR and the tanks all coming in, the MiG-23 coming in. Okay, one Krug goes down. That is a fantastic trade for Fortitude Fence. Gets the MiG-23 on top of it. Oh, the air spam is enabled again. The air spam is enabled again. And
two rocket Corsairs waiting.
F-15 Eagle out as well. This has potential for absolute disaster for Skunta, but they still have a lot of stuff, and they still have 157 being able to bring in more and more stuff. And here we finally see the BTR-40s. That's a unit that I think we should have seen from the get-go, as they can't target helicopters, and they even can target low-flying aircrafts like A-10s with their 14.5mm guns. And they are pretty good recon units, so that also can do decent against all these helicopters that we saw. So I'm not quite sure why they come in so late, but they are here now at least, and they should be able to help out against the Rocket Cobra for sure, and against the Tow Cobra if you push them nicely around as well.
Yeah, there was so much anti-helo, anti-air out there for Sueluskunta, but he just lost every single AA gun in that engagement, and I think there was just I'm not sure if he actually realized that this had happened, kind of assuming that, well, there must be one out there, and that left the Krugs completely exposed. The artillery here is not really getting the results that you would expect. Of course, the main part of the attacks has been in the M48 ACAVs, which in this matchup against infantry do quite well. I mean, they do have four slots of weapons, and 3 of them are machine guns.
Yeah, and the Reshvetkas and Reservisti here in the north, a bit higher number. T-55 AM should be able to deal with the M48, as we have a big club of BMP-1s and Reservisti coming in, more T-55s rolling in there in the north as well, so there is a big counter push still being set up. We see the BTR-40 now getting engaged as an AA unit. It's actually struggling to get some damage here onto the Tow Cobra on max range. Yes, one of them already got killed off. Artillery still getting involved, and yeah, this game is still stuck, as we have only one Krug on the battlefield, but Fortitude Fence currently not committing any air units in here.
So from the looks of it, I think this next Sueluskunta attack is going to be way better. I think Fortitude Fence is not necessarily overextending, but the position Fence is in right now is just allowing for a better attack from Suelos-kunta. All of these reinforcements have arrived here. The pieces are in place. There are 2 fully loaded smoke mortars that can be used to cut off this area to actually fully utilize all of the fire support and machine guns. There's an Su-25 here, interestingly, despite knowing that there's an Eyehawk. Though the Eyehawk is in a really bad position. Wait, no, it's not.
Yeah, Eyehawk does Eyehawk things, gets 1 hit, might even get a second one here. Su-25, no, gets out alive, but those Su-25 investments just not being worthwhile the investment at all. Whilst we have a decent amount of reservists, BTRs and T-55s here firing onto the front line of 40 defense, and it starts to grumble here. Mortars being taken out though, so the smoke play won't hold up forever. Whilst in the south, not much change yet. And 40 defense still on the point lead here. Whilst Tokobra gets to town on some T-55s again.
Yeah, there are now 2 waves of 2 minutes buys of tanks coming to support this, which means that the game is on, basically. That this is going to be the attack now. Suelos-kunta is committing to it fully.
Yeah, and here comes the plane drain though. And the one coming for the bombs, the other is coming for infantry. Getting good damage down there. The Corsair gets shut down by the Krug though. Krug with a good success there. Can get in the second missile out. Can't get a hit with it though. A-10s, Tokobras all coming around. No seed plane here actually to spot the Krug, which is a bit surprising. But we have an F-15 around as well. Kill on the Krug obviously would be big here at this stage, as then there would be no AA really whatsoever. We have a Corsair cluster coming along as well. That one is high altitude and it goes for the Krug, but the Krug already moved a long time ago, so maybe not the most efficient drop here. As the Krug doesn't get the retaliation though, and the attack, no, only gets the supply truck. The Krug itself stays alive. Another missile coming out, gets the kill onto the Corsair, whilst rockets here still flying in. But Krug out of ammo now, only has 2 shots. Next Krug coming up, a supply to the Krug would be really big. A-10 currently can just go to town, and the lack of ammo is pretty big.
This is a tragedy of
the second Krug is bought here, but it's way too far. It was immediately bought when the air attack started, kind of telling us that Suelos-kunta recognized that, oh no, I do not have enough air here. The Fortitude has just been able to use this sort of late game airplay really well. We haven't even seen the Prowler, but the Prowler is basically designed to make it so that the 6th wins these fights in the late game with exactly this kind of air spam. That you have your early game National Guards recon units that are supported by all of this reasonably decent infantry and pretty good support weapons. But in the end, the late game scaling is supposed to be with the overtly expensive planes. The planes with way more ammunition that you actually require. You know, they're overkill planes, they're scaling planes. And Suelos-kunta just did not have the right tools for the job. Just repeatedly had anti-air gaps in the forces. And is this because of Fortitude Fence purposefully targeting all the anti-air? I don't think so. I think it might be Suelos-kunta just not having enough experience with the division, because you would. Let's just say that you expect to not have these kinds of pretty standard failures with Suelos-kunta.
Yeah, you would. The Krugs are obviously a bit overkill, and their high reload costs and so on are a bit annoying sometimes. But not bringing them out earlier, waiting till the 18-minute mark until you bring the Krug out in this matchup, is weird. Like the T10s are great and all, but you need to have something that is constantly there and constantly a threat, and doesn't bring up gaps like the T10s had there in between. And yeah, in the end, 40 defense gets the W here. Suelos-kunta realizes that the point disadvantage on the battlefield was too far and too big, and they could push into Fortitude Fence here. And Fence moving on with this to the playoffs, and with that we have the playoff setup set. So let's have a look at who we got in there in Division 1 in Season 3. There are some really, really cool players up there that will go on. Final results has to be put in here. Fortitude fans going up. And with that, Fortitude fans overtaking Soyaluskunta. And we can end the group stage here. As we will have Levens versus Stahlbrecher, Woe versus Dark Neutron, Scuff versus Fortitude fans, and Stardeck versus Guardian XM, aka Bottom Feeder. So this is a hot playoff stage. It has everything inside here. It has some high level ranked players. It has some memers like Fortitude fans. It has some washed old guys like Levens coming back and absolutely smacking again. It has some old Steel Division 2 veterans like Stardeck. It has some guys, the working man favorites like Stahlbrecher, who have been here for forever and slowly but surely grinded their way up. Dark Neutron, kind of similar story, though Dark Neutron with a bit more fame already in the past, obviously. And yep, it's a good one.
You got a jet-setting streamer type of figure with Woe, big personality, a lot of fans.
Yeah.
But I personally, I'm hyper excited for the Lathan Stahlbrecher matchup, the old master versus the new up and comer. It's especially considering how both of them have been playing like the. I don't say that Latens is playing the best Warno that he's ever played, but Stahlbrecher most certainly is, and Latens is still playing better than everybody else.
Yeah, and the semifinal, whoever gets up there, is going to be interesting as well. I hope Dark Neutron can be on his old levels as well. If he is for sure a good matchup against Foe. With Dark Neutron, I'm never quite sure where he is. Like, I always write him off, and then he comes back. Like, that has been the case in Steel Division. That has been the case in Warno. And he always is showing it up in the end. So it's good to have a guy from down under here as well. And then Scuff versus Fortitude fans. That's a really reliable player against the cheeky guy. And Stardeck versus Bottom Feeders. That's some hothead against the guy that's always pretty chill. Like Bottom Feeder, there is no drama around there. Never. And so the hothead versus the ice wall kind of thing. So that's going to be interesting as well.
The thing about Bottom Feeder is that I hate him. Specifically, I hate playing against him because he's always managed to kind of do the kind of simple trickery that I think I'm too smart to counter, and he just does it repeatedly. But especially back in the day when he used to be a KDA player. Oh, goddamn.
Yeah, but I think that's maybe the mindset that you need, and the kind of trickery that you need to stumble Stardeck, who sometimes is moving one step too far, whilst outside of that having really good fundamentals. So yeah, this is going to be exciting. And
yeah, and can I just say my prediction for Scuff versus Fortitude Fence? Fortitude Fence, excellent player, as we just saw, won that game. I think Scuff is going to make mincemeat out of him, just straight up. I think the fundamentals and the reliability and the versatility of somebody like Scuff, who plays so much top tier Warno with other top tier Warno players, specifically all the other Russian ones, so has this really active scene to and really efficient information transfer, basically. And I just think that the Fortitude has no chance.
yeah, it's going to be interesting. But though sometimes Fortitude pulls out something out of his head that is new. His games so far being casted is obviously annoying for him, but he sometimes just pulls something new out, and we're gonna see if he maybe can get something similar to his 11th ACAF back in the day working or so, that just got him pretty far pretty often, or if he will just collapse to the classic stable stuff that Scuff has to bring here. With that said, guys, we're gonna go to a short break, and then we have a lot of Division 2 to cover, so don't you go anywhere. And here we go back again into it, guys. Division 2 action coming your way, as we have an important match here, where it's all about Vero having to win this to move on. Or at least, winning it with a 3-1 at least. 4-0 obviously would be clean. So 1 draw, 1 win would be fine. And Jasp, with a win, I believe, still having a chance of a tiebreaker potentially as well, but it being pretty far out there. And yeah, we have Warriors here with second UK, and we have all the SAS on the battlefield against the 76. That is obviously all out up there as well. So this death row game is going to be explosive. It's a lot of forward deployment versus a lot of forward deployment, and I'm interested to see where this goes. What do you think
Yeah,
about the super SAS setup here?
yeah, I was thinking this is suddenly 2023 again, and second UK is just in the game, and everybody's opening with the most overpowered unit of all times, SAS. Nowadays, SAS isn't really weaker, but it is significantly more expensive. Those things are 120 points per pop when you include the Saxon. And doing this, opening and pushing them all into, like, four of them into a single location, and then sending two SASs to hold two different covers is that is not the most efficient usage of your points, let me just say. But SAS is very good. SAS's weakness is that it can be engaged from outside of 700-meter range by basically any vehicles and immediately taken out for very cheap, or not immediately, but quite quickly. And if your stingers don't really get anything to kill, is it really worth paying for the stinger? Well, there are elite units, so yes, it is worth paying for the stinger, but it is less worth. 76 doesn't have helicopters, so this is a counter to a helicopter attack I don't see. They do have a lot of BMD2s, and the BMD2s are hugely dangerous to the SAS because the BMDs are fast and have autocannons. So if you're they're basically going to use the SAS as a shock troop formation, trying to get slightly further into those buildings and forests, where you can start preventing the enemy from using any of the reinforcement routes to come to Elena. But is there enough to support this? Is there a tank? Are there ATGMs and support units, maybe Lynx helicopters? Maybe this is all part of the plan, but whatever goes, this middle attack is basically going to be an all-in. In a really bad situation, it could be shut down by one well-placed HE bombing run. The northern SAS got removed, which is good. I think the southern SAS is going to sit there and be at risk of a Rasvedka BMD3 getting a free kill. There is only the Warrior Milan to serve as ATGM. There's actually no ATGM defending Fedor, so Jasp is basically betting that the enemy is not doing a mech attack on Fedor, and the mech attack would exactly be what 76 does, 76 being the BMD division.
Yeah, we have a decent amount of BMDs around. BMDs struggle from not having smoke. Outside of that, they are great. They have a Conquerors, they have a 30mm autocannon, so they do a decent amount of damage there for 55 points. But they are slightly weaker on the frontal armor side of things compared to real IFVs. And they also, as I said, no smoke, so they can't retreat well. So on the aggression, they sometimes are a bit vulnerable. Foxes have a good autocannon with the Raden, but are also vulnerable boxes. So I'm pretty surprised to see them here as the counterplay. But the Warriors, they make sense. They can one-shot them with the Milan, they can smoke, and they have a good gun and win the gun duel for being 5 points cheaper. So a lot of Warriors, I feel like, is the way to victory here. And then maybe a Challenger or two left and right. We see a Challenger already. Didn't quite expect that, but they are cheaper now. So Challengers for sure a good bit better nowadays. Like, they have been buffed in availability, they have been buffed in price, so they are in a pretty decent spot. SAS here getting shredded by BMDs, that's what you were talking about. 100 points don't make you any tankier as infantry. As an 8-man squad, you can get killed off quite quickly, but the Foxes did do a decent amount of damage to the BMDs here as well. And the smoke play worked out okay so far as well. So, yes, one SAS lost, but actually quite a lot of gained for it.
Yeah, I mean, getting into that position wouldn't have required that much SAS, but it still worked. I actually was predicting the early challenger because this is obviously a defensive position now. There needs to be some kind of a reliable long range fighter, long range weapon here to push against the BMD2s. And if there is just a single challenger out there, BMD2s cannot cross open ground. Basically, that's why I thought that they were coming in here. The Milan one does actually manage to threaten and push the BMD2s to get further away outside of its range. And the Warrior Milans are doing a good job here. The single point of armor matters a lot here. And even the AA gun is wasting its ammo on the Saxon transports. The one SAS that's in the doing guard duty hasn't even been unloaded.
Yeah, there's a Fagot around though, so it has to be somewhat careful. It might get sniped in transport there. Challenger coming up, Wombat and Milan coming up again. The BMDs so far having a pretty tough day. The BMD2s especially, as a good couple of them have been sniped. And Jasp is the one on the +2 here right now, so that is quite nice for Jasp. That means 76 has to push into you, and 76 is supposed to be a airborne division that grabs some lands and plays off from there. Like, they have a win condition with their air force. They are pretty decently mechanized, so they have some mobility as well. But they're usually not a deck that wants to attack. They're usually a deck that wants to play from the take advantage and play it from there. But strong opener here in the vehicle play by us does prevent that from happening.
Yeah, I think the SAS rush might kind of be justified by thinking that, well, any sort of late game, I am going to trade better because I will have a line of challengers and they will not. The Warrior Milans are not superior to many units, but they are superior to BMDs. Uh, excuse me. And the BMD3s are very expensive and will trade down against a challenger fast. We're already seeing the challenger actually move in to fight the Raspetka BMD3, which is like it's 130 points, and it's gonna get one shots by challenger at many ranges.
SAS here holding the line, getting hit by the BMDs, so they actually will suffer a bit more. And yeah, that's exactly the engagements you kind of want to avoid with them, as BMD fire is shredding them from afar here, so SAS should fall back. Starting to fall back now. Whilst Milan wants get into the fray here, trying to take out the BMDs. One of the SAS might pay with its life, while we have some Lynxes moving around as well. As the SAS slowly but surely getting back out of there. And a supply truck would be big for them. Yeah, Bedford already on the way. That is key. Oh, one SAS still falls though. And
There's two Nonas now. The Nonas are opening fire on the Milan 1 position, but they will be able to fight against the SAS as well. WARNO did exactly what you're supposed to do, found an angle that is not covered by enemy ATGMs, and used that angle to force fire support. The SAS melted like butter, basically. Desantiki Usilenia are going out there. They are engaging the SAS on long ranges, so the SAS are only using their LMGs. They're not using their submachine guns, which is why I think adding the LMGs was actually kind of a nerf in many ways. The SAS are revealing themselves while not doing that much damage and receiving quite a lot of damage. That is why they are losing this fight now. And Nonas are already queuing to target the Bedford, and yeah, this is immediately switching back to the WARNO side. I think Jasp needs to start counterattacking with Challenger, but right now Desantiki BMD is actually, I think, fired at the Challenger. The Challenger can't move down south right now; it's too slow.
The Challenger got hit by got hit a bit, but there was a MiG-27 AT plane that got sniped by the SAS. So SAS is paying off their Vivid Stingers in the end as well, just before they died here. But yeah, we have a big push of Jasp in the north, but maybe not quite enough defenses here in the south now. The Nonas helping out, getting rid of the Milan ones, and the Warrior lineup here was not big enough to stop this BMD2 push now from happening, and the BMD2s are getting through here. their Concourse one-shots the warrior, and it might be a trade here of points, as we most likely will see Yasp getting through in the north, but at the same time, Yasp losing the southern center point. And we see a challenger coming around, but I'm not sure a challenger on its own can achieve much here at this point.
If the challenger has a leader and recon unit supporting it, I think it can keep this side of Jasp's side of the map, of the plateau. I think it can prevent the enemy from pushing, but I don't think it can actually capture or do that much to capture the zone back. There's going to be reinforcements, there's going to be BMD3s, which will have powerful enough ATGMs that the challengers are not going to want to be attacking, as we're seeing right now up top here. Challengers very slow, become even slower if they get hit by something. They only have one smoke, of course. And now getting hit by and going down to low cohesion, making it even slower.
Yeah, and the Desert Nikki is pushing in the center, pushing back the tractor up here, pushing back the rifle leader out of there. Challenger Mark II is coming around, but it's not the greatest anti-infantry tank. It has a pretty slow rate of fire. It doesn't have a 50 cal, so engaging infantry here only works out so well. And the BMD2s there are a problem as well. They're mostly out of ATGMs, and the Challenger gets one of them now. But the Jelly also is down to low cohesion now, thanks to getting hit by RPGs. And in the middle, Deshant BMD getting on top of warriors, getting the first one killed. Second warrior might be able to get it killed off. Yeah, okay, gets the Dejaniki, but finding an armored rifle in a warrior, still a nice kill there for Vero, still a nice find, and Vero brings out more annoying ATGMs. The ATGM wall of 76 is coming online. The warrior is currently a bit out of place, not really able to deal with this, and the challenger pushed back as well, so it seems like Vero is getting some ground here, and potentially being able to at least get up to a tick here to overtake Yasp at some point.
Yeah, the Challenger didn't have enough DPS to cover this, and Vero very smartly realized this and snuck up the Spetsnaz GRU out there. Jasp mismicroed significantly by not taking more distance against the Usilenia, which is one of those units that has double AT weapons, and so it can do double the stun damage very quickly, even though it was suppressed. The Northern Challenger now moving up into a firing position, and I think the building where the Desantniki BMD are currently, if this can be occupied by British recon, the Challenger becomes suddenly very powerful. But right now, the Challenger is kind of supposed to just hang around here and maybe threaten something or do some sort of fire support. It cannot really move in and engage these ATGM-equipped units without the recon. And down south here, we're seeing the Spetsnaz GRU fighting against the Warrior, another Warrior Milan squad. Warrior does survive, and Spetsnaz has run out of ammo.
Yeah, the Challenger getting involved there now as well. Push in the north is stopped by a decent amount of ATGMs from Vero though. Vero trying to attack with their Special Force Spätskrupa V, but they are running into 3 British infantry units, and they're literally running into them through the open, so one of the Spätskrupa Vs gets completely annihilated, and the second one won't win a 1v3, so the situation there not developing well for Vero at this point, but the warriors in the center still holding the line. A couple of BMDs still went down as they were out of ATGMs, and the warriors were able to pick them off long range. And that is a problem here as well. The supporting fire of Vero is getting slowly picked off. Both sides with a good amount of losses. I still prefer Yasp's position here in the long haul though, as they have more warriors coming in, they have the tanks, and they just seem to be a bit more stable right now.
Yeah, JASP has so many tools to deal with this. The Lynx rockets can be very cheaply and quickly resupplied. And as we learned from Pro Comi back in the day, the Lynx rockets actually are like the most accurate helicopter rockets in the game. I think they just perform really, really well. So the Lynx rockets can permanently prevent infantry breakthroughs or hunt down single units. So if you get your Spetsgruppe Vs or something and they manage to get a bunch of kills, just send in some Lynxes, and it's most likely going to work out. At the same time, JASP is also buying the 175 millimeter artillery piece, which, fun fact, is 70 kph for some reason. It is actually faster than the AMX 10 RC off-road. And this artillery piece on close range will be a very reliable ATGM and BMD3 killer if the fighting lines freeze here, which they generally kind of do. And the challengers, as long as they are kept repaired, will become more and more powerful as they start getting numbers, and the long range engagement capacity turns from can shoot at infantry to can salvo down an infantry squad. That is significant development. That's the difference between 1 and 3 challengers.
Yes, and the challengers also will get to the point where they just can, like, crawl up to an enemy ATGM position and then shoot it into pieces with enough smoke cover between the shots. Fito actually is an interesting choice here as well. I believe a normal Hell Arm would have been the better choice. The Fito is an extra price and low availability for something that actually might get at one-shots the BMD2s, but so does all the Hellfire Lynxes as well. So a bit surprised that we see this one around. But Fito and Lynx rockets here coming in for the push. And the Asp is starting to do it a bit in the north. Whilst we have a Fox in the south here holding out as well.
Yeah, the infantry attacks up top, which seems to be what JASP is now committing to, will be supported by the Gazelles quickly. The Gazelles will also kind of work as a testing ground for enemy anti-air, which is actually kind of lacking here. Because if JASP realizes that the enemy doesn't have anything to block out helicopters, the Lynx Hell Arms could maybe move out there and start aggroing a little bit more. The Soviet airborne artillery, the heavy mortars, are striking so much, and they are trying to catch important units such as recon and leaders. So I think this is kind of pushing JASP to be a bit more aggressive. And I'm not really sure that this is exactly the right moment to do that. All the mech of JASP, powerful that it is, has been put all over a thin line, and this means that it needs to be concentrated if it wants to break through the ATGMs. Either that or significant smoke usage. And I think we're going to get the latter, with the L816 mortar getting deployed right now up north.
Yeah, one issue of Vero is that he struggles to deal with ATGM positions right now. Milan ones are super efficient in this matchup. They can one-shot everything on the other side. As even the BMD3 only has 3 frontal armor. And they are cheap, and they are hard to kill off here for Vero, as you don't have any tanks to push into them. And so only Nonnas really can do the job nicely from the afar, or you would need to push in infantry or something. And that is not going to happen when there's that many warriors, lynxes, and so on around as well. So it's hard for me to see a way of how Vero can break the Milan 1 wall here that is on the battlefield right now.
Yep. M107 hitting and stunning the Nona, stunning it a second time, though still not doing significant damage. Oh, now managing to route it. Does not get the kill. The aiming was slightly off of position, but still, now Vero knows that the enemy has heavy artillery. If they didn't realize it earlier.
Yeah, and the Conquerors here coming in with ATGMs as well. Igla missile coming around, getting a kill onto the Lynx rocket in the south. And I feel like Vero's defensive position here is pretty strong as well. But Vero is behind in points, and that's really the unfortunate situation as 76 here at this point. So the way to break this potentially is air spam. We see a Su-24 seat coming around, I'm a bit surprised because there is no radar AA on the other side, but maybe just wants to see what is around AA-wise. Finds a tractor up here, and might get out here eventually, but yeah, just spots where there is AA and realizes there is no AA here around the airmobile guns groups. So the Su-24 comes in there, gets a bombing run through, but gets shut down by the SAS and the tractor up here. Yeah, and the Su-24 doesn't spot that for you, as it doesn't reveal non-radar AA units on the battlefield, and that's an expensive Su-24 they're going down already. And that's a problem, because that kind of gameplay, I feel like, is the way out here potentially, but getting it through on death row, it's not that easy.
Yeah, the ATGM fights up top happening here. BMD3s are trying to gun down Milan 1s, and the Milan 1s are just completely ruining them. Yeah, that's a front line where CHASP has the efficiency advantage significantly. Armored rifles trading up against Desantniki Metis, armored rifles having one extra rifle as well as being in a building. So even when they were 4 versus 7, they managed to win this fight pretty easily. I think the Nona damage is we are beyond the point where the Nona damage is going to be that relevant. The mechanized attack is now happening on the southern part of the plateau. No smoke, no artillery here, not even helicopters. Not really considering that. I think they really don't consider they need it. The Milan ones are the targets here. Challenger took a hit, second Challenger took a bunch of hits as well, but the infantry is still getting out there. There's a single 50 cal machine gun as well as some occasional infantry units out there in the front. But after the infantry gets far enough and takes care of the ATGMs, the vehicles can just move in and take care of the infantry.
Yeah, and we saw another plane going down here. The tractor appears, upwetted, really do a fantastic job. They get some kills after each other here. Su-24 going down. Rapiers in general, pretty accurate AA. They are not the longest range, but even the base rapiers are pretty solid. When you then go to the dark fires and FSBs, it goes even crazier. And yeah, we have an armored rifle push here that might get rid of Vero's leader here as well, increasing the point lead even further, as there's not enough here against the armed rifle really to stop them from getting through and getting the kill on this Dejan Komrodi most likely. Well, mortars still fly around, but I just don't quite see how Vero breaks this at this point. Like, maybe with some smoke plays that could have been in the way, but now we even see heavy artillery landing onto the center here, just shredding through the infantry of Vero, and the leader has fallen, so Jasp about to go up on the tick rate.
Yeah, I think the next wave here would be a special forces attack into Fedor in the southwest, but that's not really realistic when you're in this kind of a back foot position and the enemy is trading up against you. The tanks are gonna come back. One of the challenges was already repaired. The second one's gonna be repaired at the moment. The airplay is just not getting any results here, and if the airplay investments had started paying off, maybe there would be a chance for Vero to do aggro down south, but this the Chasp's attack here just kind of sealed the deal. Realizing that you can just walk infantry forwards and the enemy cannot deal with your fire support, or cannot deal with that and your fire support. Yeah, this was almost 2-to-1 kill death ratio, and I am not surprised. I think most of those came in with the challengers just doing reliable damage and never fully getting killed.
Yeah, challengers not dying, and then the Milan ones just getting constant value. Like, one Milan 1 here killing 2 BMD3s, that's more than 4 times payoff already. Getting some Luatzes there as well. Like, the BMD3s and so on. Like, 76 is a good division, but it's not a good division for Death Row. Maybe if it can get the forward deployment advantage and actually grab enough of the map, it can do that, but it wasn't able to do that here, so Jasp gets the W in game number 1. And yeah, gets a nice second UK victory here, really showing the power of that division in the early game and then in the reliable play afterwards. Really, really well played. And yeah, we're gonna go into a short break I'm gonna be back with game number 2 here.
Though, as a final word, Wero's counterattack against the SAS was like pitch perfect, basically. So, like, it's not like a Jasp won due to the division, but there could have been a better investments, you know.
And here we go. Jasp up 1-0. Vero now bringing around second Panzer Grenadier. And Jasp bringing around 6 Motostrelki. So this is a pretty interesting game, as we have a good amount of Luftsturmjägers here trying to rush in. It's the second Panzer Grenadier is going for a Fallschirmjäger opener. So both using their respective Fallschirmjägers, East Germans versus West Germans. The East German ones are a lot better at fighting than the West German ones because they are special forces. The West Germans are not. And at the same time, we also got something interesting set up here. It got nerfed lately, so but we still have a wall of FK-20 Zwillinge here coming around as infantry fire support slash anti-helicopter. And then also a lot of autocannons with Luxus. So Vero wants to play this game fast here with second Panzer Grenadier, which can work out, but it is for sure involving some risks, as the usual Marder Leo 2 M110 playstyle could be the cleaner and easier way through this, maybe.
That is true, but it is also possible to transition into that if you can get good enough positions. I think Vero here is recognizing that 6 Motostrelkovaya Brigada, the OG, has a lack of fast transported units. So if they can be traded away, if the openers can be traded away well, it's going to take them some time to rebuild their infantry presence. Sixth has really good support units. It has amazing books. It has really nice autoloader artillery. It's got nice tanks as well, though not as powerful as your 39th or 79th or anything like that. But so the tank tab will be just enough for this map, I think, just enough to counter the Leopard 2s and the Leopard 1s of 2nd Panzer Grenadier. But the weakness is that having to invest into the BMP-1s on urban front lines is not always the best thing, because you have to, first of all, you're only transporting your infantry at 75 kph, and you're also having to invest 40 points into a BMP-1P, which then will not be sold back to allow you to buy more infantry. So I think Vero could quite easily do this HE damage push opener, mech forward deployment with the Luxus, infantry forward deployment with the Fallschirmjägers, and then follow it up with a more fortified Sikerungs and Jaegers and Panzergrenadiers supported by Marders as a way to hold still against the enemy that will later on counter them with the T-80s, T-64s, and BMP-1s.
I also wonder, where are Vero's remaining points in this one? As this is not 1,500 points. Is there a Tornado Mehrzweckwaffe coming around early? Like,
That's one of the things. Other one could be maybe they bought an early seed, because the enemy, if somebody's gonna play sixth, they are probably going to open with a book. So what if you take your seed plane and you open and kind of sneak it out and go fly it through the enemy reinforcement route? If they did not purposefully shut off the missile at the start of the opener of the game, you can maybe get a free 155 point kill and a secure knowledge that you can start air snowballing early. The sixth gets enough fighter bombers, enough dangerous, annoying light and fast bombers that it's really value for you to get air supremacy if you're playing as Vero here. And the ability to use the Mehrzweckwaffe, the heavy tornado bombers, all of this is a significant fight winner on urban front lines. And we're seeing the F-16A, the Belgian shotgun fighter, come out here facing against the non-shotgun MiG-21 BIS, which is trying to lure the Belgian fighter in front of the top of the book.
Ooh, hit on the side of the F-16, getting the kill. Book actually struggling to get a shot off, as it tried to go into cover first, and actually means that it doesn't get the kill, and we see a second F-16 now hunting down the Luftsturmjägers. We see a hit by the Book though, so only one of them will go down. Both F-16s pushed back, so the double F-16 was what was the air investment. Yeah, going for the helicopter play against the Luftsturmjägers makes good sense. In the end, unfortunate for Jasp that he didn't get a kill on any of the F-16s, but could have been worse, losing one cheap MiG-21, losing one of the Luftsturmjägers only, but that's also 320 points locked down now on the side of Vero that will take a while to come back around, and that are not on the front line, but you have some Me Too Urans here, actually going to town on the Fallschirmjägers, so getting some decent value against Vero's infantry units as well. Just has to be careful when the enemy is Zwillinger come around, then those Me Too's will die quite quickly. But Spätzgruppe A and Luftsturmjägers getting into positions here, and it's an interesting little engagement here that's going to develop in the center now.
Yeah, well, we'll see if the BMP-1 and its Motostrelki can fight off this twin Lukes force that is trying to get and secure India. The Erns got really good damage in and are still getting good damage in. The Swillings are not in position, they're just not there right now, so they need to be very slowly moved into position, which also puts them at risk of being fired by infantry. The problem with the second Panzergrenadiers Fallschirmjäger rushes are that you don't have the anti-helo coverage outside of the two Belgian F-16s, which did not really succeed here.
Ooh, good kills in the south though. The BMP-1 went down, and the Fopo-Führer, the Volkspolizeiführer, getting exposed there as well. The Luxus getting their job in there now. One of them went down, but got the Motostrelkis in the BMP-1. And we have T-55As coming in. Those will be helpful. They come with 0 veterancy, so Jasp is having those build out for the long haul. It's the Spätzgruppe A here, pushing back the Fallschirmjäger further. The Zwillinger are still an issue though, and they keep on pushing forward. Luftsturmjägers engaging Fallschirmjägers. Fallschirmjägers there not having the best of times, but the Zwillinger will be able to deal with all that infantry, so the T-55As need to be around there for that.
Yeah, the Luxus are now pushing and trying to exploit the gains that they made by destroying that BMP-1, basically calling the bluff that there is not anything out there. The Vopos running was kind of a sign, I think. The Luxus will now go and try to both cut off the reinforcement route, most likely, as well as push into the zone. It's still risky pushing into the zone. You know, anything with a light AT weapon could take you out. But with their very good optics, I think the Luxus will be safe enough here. Milan 1 opening fire on the reinforcements, finally, of JASP.
Yeah, and the Luxus could potentially even find a Book here. Milan 1 under fire by the T-55A. The Zwillinger got rid of a bit of Luftsturmjäger power, and we see a lot of Martyrs with Panzergrenadiers coming in now. That's the printer now, Leo 1s and Panzergrenadiers. So the extra power is on the way in. The Luxus are pushing through the flank here, and the Book hasn't moved yet, hasn't tried to disengage, so the Luxus here might actually find that. Finding the Iglas first, so AA here starting to go down for Jasp, but T-55A and Mod Aufklärers already on the way in, so they just need to hurry up a bit.
Yeah, another F-16 is now up in the air at the same time as a reinforcement Luftsturmjäger is dropping by here. The F-16 might get a very, very important 105-point kill here, but doesn't seem like that's happening. Instead, the Book manages to fire, but Vero immediately realizes the chance here and sends all of their Luxes to follow up the Book.
Yeah, and the T-55A here in no position to deal with that. The T-55As from the middle, not around here either. Book is now finally moving away, realizing that there is a risk of the Luxus, but it might be too late. One of the Luxes go down to the T-55. Mod Aufklärer need to unload here immediately. Oh no, they go down to transport. T-55 number 2 getting involved. Book getting hunted here. It's fast moving away now. And we see some Me Too Yearns here getting involved against the Luxes as well. T-55A gets the second one, so the Luxes play here doesn't quite work out, and the Book does survive. Important for Jasp to keep that around. Well, it's the middle fight here. Conquerors and BMPs versus Martyrs. And generally, pretty good kills for Jasp lately. With keeping the Book alive, the situation has stabilized nicely. Got rid of some Milans, got rid of some Martyrs, and really slowed Vero's movement into the center quite heavily here.
Yeah, Vero's big investments into repeated waves of infantry, and now even with the PA-1 helicopters to push the middle, there are only Fliegerfausts and a command vehicle down south with the Rasvedka moving up to see this. If there was just a single infantry squad, it could maybe fight this off. But JASP might get the info that India is basically protected by ghosts, and a single T-55 might move in there and take it out.
Yeah, Rasvedka pushing forward. T-55 Ace here, keeping up the damage in the middle. T-55's really solid fire support so far this game. One of them went down though, as Panzergrenadiers at the same time start to get shredded here when they move too close to these special forces in the middle. But if you get enough Martyrs in there with their autocannons, they can do a good amount of damage as well. And that is what we will see Vero try to do, getting the Martyrs through. But there is a decent amount of tanks and a couple of BMPs here for Jasp in its deck, so Jasp should be able to hold out for now as more and more zero-vet T-55As come onto the battlefield just as cheap fire support here.
Yeah, I think the PA-1s here have potential to strike a T-55 once and then both route it and damage it so much that it's not going to be able to serve as fire support. And I think that is a hard counter there, as well as, of course, this Milans being able to do self-defense with the Martyrs being able to do defense with the Milans. Now the Panzergrenadiers are moving into positions, and the blob seems to be powerful enough that it can contest anything. Conquerors has run out of ammo. Luftsturmjäger is not in a position to immediately take things out. Leopard 1 is in a great site here as well.
Luftsturmjägers make it out alive, but the amount of Martyrs here is just really problematic. The T-55s have been reduced, the Conqueror's out of ammo, gets shot down now as well, and the infantry is just not up there to deal with the Martyrs. So yeah, the first wave got shut down quite nicely, but currently it's really cost efficient what Vero is doing here, as currently all their trades go in their favor. 1 T-55 in the north. Oh, cluster MiG-21 though! That could be so big! That could be so big! That is actually getting a pretty good run. It could have gotten even more. It damaged a couple of Martyrs there that didn't quite get killed, but that's still 3 vehicles down, 2 vehicles damaged. So MiG-21 did what he wanted to do. It is by now at 240 points planes. It's way from what it was in the past, when it was a dirt cheap cluster bomber, but it still is really scary when it comes to you.
Yeah, this is not going to stop Vero's advance here, but it's probably going to put limits on how far they can go. There is an M110 super heavy howitzer out here. Book gets a hit against an F-16 once again, and as I predicted, Jasp's Rasvedka unit is now moving into the southern zone. Reinforcements going out there. Oh, and Mersekwaffe, actually, there's heavy reinforcements out here, but we're all realizing that they should have invested just slightly more into this push.
And it's...
Oh no, what a waste.
It's a Mersekwaffe for a single Rasvedka. That's 6 minutes of reload for a single Rasvedka on the 275 points plane. That is not worth it. Okay, it gets hit once more there as well. I don't believe that prolongs the reload time, because the reload runs next to the repair, so the 6 minutes still stays, but it's a tough one nonetheless, getting hit there. with that
Yeah, I
bomber.
think that's they didn't see the Pulemechiki. They only thought that it was a single unit and wanted to buy time for the pioneers and the Pawans to move out there. And yeah, the that was a really fast reaction from Vero. Vero is still wanting to keep up the attack here. Both the Schwillings and large numbers of pioneers are overpowering this move towards Foxtrot. So the movement seems to be towards the northwest, taking out some of these P-55s, as just happened there, will prevent Jasp from doing counterattacks. So even if Vero is not moving west, the P-55 eliminations are very crucial, and the Milan one's just performing amazingly here, constantly running out of ammo fighting these things.
Yeah, Jaegers and Panzergrenadiers here in the middle, holding the line nicely. Pioneers there still getting some action in, whilst we have Cluster plane getting the CV in the south at least. Forpost should get in there as well. The issue for Vero right now is trying to get a CV into the center, and the issue for Jasp is trying to get Vero out of the center again. And it's a pretty clutch game still. There is a CV Patron leader actually around that should be able to get in there soon, but Jasp is keeping up the defense and the annoyance still quite nicely, and the Book being microed there is pretty key as well. Second Book has come around, both sides now starting to capture some points, so the +1 tick for Vero is going to stay active, but there is a decent amount of forces here now in the middle, starting to take out some Fallschirmjägers and Panzergrenadiers, and if those numbers go too high, then the Zwillinge don't have any protection, the ATGM's teams don't have any protection, so you don't want to hammer too much infantry away here right now as Vero.
Yeah, I think the BMP 1P, which is 40 points, compared to the Marder, which is 50 points, is a massive problem for JASP, because the BMP 1P does not have an autocannon, and the autocannon is so essential in bringing out damage against the infantry on this map, and on all maps, but especially on this map. And the 73mm gun just cannot compete. And on close ranges, the autocannons versus the cannons, the autocannons will gain enough damage to just destroy the BMPs, well, with single salvos. Not to mention the fact that the extra armor matters very significantly. So the Fagot M cannot one-shot kill the Marder Milans. The IFV situation is that I think the Marders are a really good investment, and I think the BMP 1P Fagots are just not. The 25% BMP ones, the really cheap ones, yeah, maybe, but these more advanced ones with the smokes, I'm not seeing a future for them here.
Luftsturmjägers engaging against Panzergrenadiers. The infantry advantage here, 4-6, is real, with Pulmachikis also beating dedicated infantry squads and the special forces of them helping out nicely. MiG-21 here in the rear engaging Tornadoes, actually. That's not a healthy one for the MiG-21. Tornado can't find the kill here with its missile. No, the MiG-21 just barely gets out. We see a Hyacinth now coming in on the side of Jasp, so good artillery coming online here for the red side as well, as the 1M110 here has done a decent job so far. It gets another Concourse and Motostrelki team here, so artillery really king on the urban front lines if you get into a slower game. Don't forget those guys. If there's an opportunity to slid in an infantry artillery unit here on this map, it can go pretty far.
Yeah, it's basically nothing's ever gonna threaten this M110 outside of a breakthrough, and it's gonna reliably remove squads as long as you keep it supplied. And remember the micro, and then just put it on a hotkey. Just check it every once in a while.
Yeah,
See those BMP 1Ps getting just immediately stunned out and just pushed away. They cannot. They do not have enough firepower to contest this in any way. That's just 40 points lost every hit.
Yeah, Zwillinge going down, F-16 going down here. So the T-55 BMP-1 Motostrelki combo might actually start to work out a bit here. Marders going down, though a couple of red units falling as well, and we have the +1 still only. So the point advantage here, the tick rate is all not that high. If the Luftsturmjägers can get in here, they could really swing things around.
Yeah, it's not like Six doesn't have capacity to fight these long battles. I just have a feeling the second PMP-1 class here is once again PMP-1 PG. At least this one has a automatic grenade launcher, so that is something. But the infantry fighting vehicles are just there's too many points. There's too many points invested in these things, and not enough performance. They cannot fight against the Leopard ones. They get taken out by both Milan ones and the Martyrs, and the Martyrs are just outclassed them in every way for 10 points. And the more BMP ones you see here, I think more points Jasp has spent into something that like that is not the solution. The infantry should be coming in BTRs. It should be coming in trucks and in helicopters even. But the BMP-1 investment is not working.
Yeah, Hyacinth here will try to get some damage onto enemy positions here in the middle. The Panzer Grenadiers and Fallschirmjägers there are vulnerable. So Hyacinth for sure can follow the MR10 model and get some damage in here. While Saperis, Polomachikis, and Luftsturmjägers still hold the line here. The two Zwillinge are actually still surviving, are annoying, are limiting the movement of the infantry, and the BMP-1s just can't take close range fights against the Martyrs with their autocannons. The German autocannon is not great, the 20mm autocannon that they got, but it's better than what the Martyrs, the BMPs got for the most part, and that's a problem. Artillery here, the Hyacinth gets the kill onto the Führer, gets the kill onto another infantry squad, so starts off pretty nicely here, but would need something more here with this, and time is still not really an issue, 23 minutes, but it's still something that you might want to consider here and start getting a tick again, as it's just pretty annoying to get ticked again, especially if you know you could change it.
Yeah, now this is a place where I don't think Jasp has a weapon that can push against the Martyrs like this. They can defend against the Martyrs, yes, but the Hyacinth does not provide enough firepower, enough to take out the Martyr Milans. The BMP-1Gs are just inferior. They don't kill, and they get killed with one shot. There is no T80 here that I don't think. There are only T55s, which are decent, but also don't provide one-shot kills. Now Jasp ordering two T80s. Zero vet though, but the damage they will be able to do is still significant improvement from everything here.
Yeah, T80 without veterancy is weird though. And if the layout 2s come around, that might be punished. F-16 goes down in the sky, and we have a interesting little attempt in the north by Jasp, but there is a Zwilling in the way. That's a massive issue. T-55A is still around there as well, so it could be dealt with potentially, but the T-55A here wants to finish off this one. Still reloading.
The book was saved by automatic movement to cover. It automatically moved into the tree line, so it dodged the super heavy howitzer just recently. The Pioneer Carl Gustav is now once again taking out the BMP-1 that tried to push towards Echo. More Martyrs are brought out, this time zero vet Martyr Milans for defense. I think the T80 as well as the T55s getting taken at zero vet, I think it just kind of trying to do kind of a pro-commie thing of having the tank instead of a main battle tank. It is a assault gun that moves behind your the rest of your troops. But Jasp is not pro-commie from what I know. So let's see if this strategy is going to be executed, or if they're just going to be operated like standard tanks, where they will possibly fail.
Yes, and we see at the same time Jasp coming in for the north. Uwats there needs to move in. Uwats is just barely standing outside. Jasp missing out on a good amount of points here right now. Could be the one on the +1 tick instead of being the one that is ticked against. And yes, Jasp is struggling in the middle, but the north is scoring fantastic, and that could be the way to victory here. Just winning the flanks whilst holding in the center, as the forces in the center are still significant. And MR10 though starts to get some damage in, but this... And finally, Jasp moves in the Uwats. Might be just in time for the BO-105, actually. Starting to get a grasp of those things, and might just get it beforehand. Luftsturmjägers and Co getting engaged here. BO 105 getting engaged slowly. Leo T55 getting engaged to engage these units as well. BO 105 goes down. Martyr under fire. So the whole northern situation not developing amazingly. We have a lot of Leo 181s, and the T80s here are too scared to fight them. But one of them went down, and the center push is not going deep enough for the blue side. So a decent, nice little situation here right now to be at for Jasp right now. I like the +1 with the north. I like the setup in the south, and the center looks pretty defensible to me as well.
Yeah, the two T80s engaged enemies. One of them got immediately suppressed by a volley of Milan once and retreated. The second one engaged the Leopards, killed one of them, got a second one hit, and then almost lost itself. Vero's double Mershakwaffe attack up north leaves something to be desired. Something means here that the second one should have also hit. But because only one of them, they got only one unit with this, I doubt Vero has capacity to really push up here. They don't have recon because I think he is. So the Leopard one is going to be in a bad position. Zero with infantry is being brought on two sides with tank reinforcements. So Vero is going to try to catch it back.
Yeah, we see some books here in the rear doing some decent job. Motostralkies coming in nice numbers. Conquerors rolling up here into the center as well. Tornado gets the Me2 Urn in the north. That's a nice kill. Whilst in the center we still have decent setup here, but oh, Vero with the big counter push into the north. The Leo ones, the Martyrs. It's going to be tough to stop that without a cluster bomber run. Like a cluster bomber might be able to do that. Yes, but at the meantime though, pushing decently deep into Echo. So that could work out here, whilst the Tornado HE is just going to make sure that the north is going down.
Yeah, the oh, is it another bomber? Where is it aiming? It's not aiming anywhere. Okay, so recon chopper is going to go there. That's the right choice. If you need to do quick recon in a situation such as this, and you know if the enemy is going to have any AA, it's not going to be that significant. The HE bomber here is maybe a bit of a waste. There's already way too much stuff to capture this reliably. So the Tornado HE2 might actually go and try to hit a straightforward run on the western side high-rise line, where they could get like 3 buildings filled with units.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Hyacinth is not being used more actively. That could have really been helpful to clean out the center right now. T55A is pushing back the Milans in the middle. We see the Polomachiki versus Pioneer Carl Gustav in the south. T55A there pushing up, BMP pushing up. So Echo under pressure, but at the same time, as I said, the north is falling for Jasp, and Vero actually now with the big push through the open field, and that might work out as well. There is little up there, T80s. We have one that is damaged, and the other one is further south. Like T80s coming in nicely could be helpful. Ooh, Cluster Bomber gets its run through on the Leo once, but it gets shut down at the same time. So it's not a massive win. And yeah, the MR10 getting involved again. There's damage in the middle. The Hyacinth now finally starts firing up against something again. Took it a while, and the push here from the side with the BOs, with the Martyrs, that is some interesting stuff, as there is currently no manpad around. MiG-21 hunting down the BO helicopter, nearly getting the second one as well, whilst the Martyrs getting involved with ATGMs in numbers as well. And the Hyacinth gets involved. Like, I believe Red traded a good bit better so far, but the danger potential here is still around. T80Bs have to push forward, and without them having any veterancy, they are a lot less efficient.
Yeah, but there's 2 of them, and it's not like the Martyrs have that much veterancy here either. The BOs were supposed to protect them by giving them the heavy ATGM support. Now iHawk taking out the fighters, so maybe there's a space for one more. I don't know if all of the ATGM planes have been spent already. Jasp is doing a counterattack right now, trying to push southeast to Echo. Managed to take out one Pioneer with the fire support, And now with one wounded Polemetric squad, a Vopo Spur, and a T-55 bravely moving towards the hidden point. Carl Gustav almost getting a side shot into the T-55. Now the T-55 is revealing its side armor. Oh, almost. It's very close here.
Yeah, T-80 in the north, having to engage against Panzer Grenadiers as well. Doing that pretty fine, though. Getting them pushed back, getting the Madres pushed back as well. So the situations here on the flanks, not so bad for Jasp. Center still in the stalemate as well, but blue side gets the recapture in the north, and Vero will stay ahead on points here in a significant amount.
Yeah, it's a wonder Vero hasn't been punished for kind of constantly lacking ammo for the ATGMs. I mean, the ATGM ammo here could have stopped this T-55 from moving in, though, and the UAS that killed the ATGM could have also been taken away easily if there was just a little bit more supply all around the map, especially in those critical tower areas. But there's going to be infantry reinforcements for Vero, and Leader Leader is coming also. Bomber is even invested into taking this out, even though I don't think that's really necessary. So this JASP doesn't really have the resources to push this area anyways. So this was a little bit of a it prevented Vero for a moment from gaining a further lead, but I think that was really important. With no tank or infantry support here, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and Jasp didn't get through here in the rear. Jasp doesn't have another CV on the battlefield right now, and that is a big problem. Without CVs, you can't capture, and you need to capture here at Jasp. You need to get at least a +2 to really reliably get up there. +1 trickling into points quite slowly with only 40 points per minute, so that still would be enough right now, but not for much longer. And Hyacinth here getting involved into the center finally again, as the firepower here of the Martyrs, constantly annoying you though, is pretty rough to suffer through for Jasp here. Jasp having to retreat there, getting an Eagle out, and interesting stuff going on as Tornado comes out around again, and Martyr's just really holding the line here. Like it's a big Martyr play in this game so far.
Yeah, the book manages to push off the Tornado, but the Mi2 Urn is taken out by a Fliegerfaust. There's an interesting T-64 buy up north for whatever reason to gain like map control, but without recon also. There is a Jaguar 2 out here, as well as infantry, which will likely spot the T-64. So I think this, whatever is the logic here in buying this tank, I don't support it.
Yes, and it's T-64 CV, so that might be the only CVs left remaining in the deck. Like that might be the big problem, that there is just none to follow this up with for Jasp, and Jasp needs the points as they lost a good couple. The T-64 and T-80Bs in the north are interesting as well, but there's just too much stuff here for Vero, and Vero can get more stuff, and Vero just needs to hold out at this stage.
Yeah, it's I kind of did I not say that it is potential to open up with your infantry and air attack and then follow it up with a immediate transition into mechanized? Yes, I did. I am a good caster, thank you very much. But so far, Jasp seems to be doing a little bit of probing action down in the middle with the Motto-Aufklärer and some Lustumjäger moving back up here, with artillery striking at a nice position, and the Milan ones are running out of ammo, basically all of them here, outside of the ones with the Milans. And this could prove a series of really good engagements if the attack happens right now. There is supply coming, and double Meshachwaffe are bombing bad locations.
They did nothing. What the hell?
Nothing.
MiG-31 trying to hunt them down is struggling to do anything as well, but they did just do absolutely nothing. Whilst the MiG-31 actually gets shut down there, so they baited the MiG-31, so they actually did something, but on their own, they achieved basically nothing. And yeah, Jasp needs to get a CV here in the middle. A smoke artillery, getting that CV through, I think that's kind of the way to go. Gets you back up on the tick. And the question is, though, can you just go any deeper? And yeah,
Yeah,
this
there are
T64.
there are helicopters behind this right now, and the helicopters could break through a bunch of infantry in a quick succession.
Yeah,
All the tanks now moving up.
Me Too Urns are interesting. Motostrelky's BMP is interesting. T64 immediately gets hit here. Jaguars have to disengage. Radvechka moving forward. The T64 is taking a real fight now. And you can't afford to lose this thing. So I'm surprised that it is the one that goes first here. I think other BMPs and tanks should have gone first. Well, it's T64 in the north. Is it actually losing against the Leo 1A1 here? It did miss there once more. It's down to 2 hit points. T64 missing once more. Martyrs coming around there as well. The T64 by now has the faster reload time. And it gets the kill finally, but just as the Martyrs come around. And it just should smoke off and run. But I think the focus is elsewhere as Panzer Grenadiers die in the middle. T80B with 0 veterancy gets pinned down as well. The smoke will allow the T64 to get in there. Well, it's the tanks in the northern part are in trouble, but the tank and infantry push in the middle, that can work out. Partially because German infantry outside of the one on the Fallschirmjäger have pretty weak anti-tank rocket launchers. Like, Carl Gustavs are okay in their damage output, and Panzerfausts are bad. So, yeah, the push is coming here. Jasp is going to a +1, and Jasp actually might want to go deeper than this. Cluster Bomber, getting a run through, getting the Jaguar killed. Will most likely pay for it with its life, as 2 Eyehawks are on the hunt. Yeah, one finally gets the hit. And Motostrike is not getting through in the south. So, +1 here for Jasp. Can Jasp defend that? And can Jasp maybe even go for a +2 somewhere? +1 is slowly ticking up. It's going to be close with that though.
Yeah, there are infantry reinforcements once again with Marder Milans and Zero Vet coming. There is not enough supply once again for the ATGMs, so the T55s and the BMPs have managed to push a little bit further. There is a Leopard 2, and this Leopard 2 is on the move, but it is Zero Vet, so it cannot necessarily risk being too aggressive. There's also a second Leopard now trading shots with T55.
And yeah, T55 Ace here is struggling against the Leo 2A3. The Leo 2A3 is a problem. T80Bs needed for that. T64s maybe needed for that. As the T55 actually does stun the Leo down nicely. As it is a 0 vet Leo that got suffered by the second Leo though that comes around. And that means we have now 2 Leos on the battlefield heading the Saperi. As Vero is still trying to get through here, getting enough points on the battlefield. Has another T64 coming in through the north, the T64 BVK, but that one still has to go past some Panzer Grenadiers and a Marder, and it doesn't really have the fire support for that, so I'm not sure that will work out. T80B and T64 pushing up to help that out in the north. Oh, the T64 BVK in the middle has to be careful, as the Leos, they get heavily hit by the T80, but get the T80 killed. And the cluster bomber coming in gets killed off as well. Eyehawk doing their job. Leo 2s survive, and the Leo 2s now maybe just can shred through everything here.
Yeah, don't be mean to me, Abaddon, just because I pronounce Zwillinge correctly.
And Conquerors here coming around. Martyrs under fire. Leo 2A3s pushing in, and this is going to be going pretty well with the Martyrs. Leo 2A3 under fire. Ooh, one down. Luftsturmjägers with the RPGs doing a good job. HE bomber. What did the HE bomber? Did it? It didn't drop. What?
It didn't drop. I don't know. Maybe it was got switched right at the moment. I don't know what happened there, but or maybe they moved into the building. I don't know, but that's a money shot right there. If you can get that, get that building. Yeah.
It's going for it now. The Book not able to defend it, and those Luftsturmjägers and Pulmachiki nearly getting fully wiped out. Second HE bomber coming around as well. Potentially can hit the T64. Book finally defending itself again. Actually completely whiffs there though. The line of sight on this map sometimes a bit weird for AA, and the Leo 2A3 leader and T64 leader, both in the center, are pretty low. As we have the T64 BVK push still set up for the north. This could change the whole outcome of this game. If that gets through, if that can capture the northern point, then Vero might be hard-pressed to find a capture somewhere. As another Leo 2A3 leader comes in though, and the MiG-21 clusters are reduced quite heavily. The T-64 BVK pushing forward, killing off some infantry there, killing off the Panzer Grenadier, but the Marder is still moving around, and Spätzgruppe and so on all invested up there means that they're not in the center right now, where Leo 2A3 leader might get the capture as well. So it's all about the speed, it's all about can these leaders on both sides survive, and I feel like currently Vero's situation here is pretty good, as they're about to take over the center again. That's the T-64 BVK in the north. Actually might get hit by the tornado. Will have to be microed to dodge that. Is starting to move now. Acceleration is not the best, but I think it can dodge most of it. Yeah, gets out of there with just being stressed, but has to go further as the center is getting captured though, and that is a massive problem, as the T-64 BVK from the other side needs to come around again and capture that back. But I don't think anything can kill this Leo anymore. I don't think there's anything that has the power. Well, there is a T-80! Oh, but it misses its shot. There is a T-80, but it misses its shot. It only goes for the Marder, actually. Doesn't get the kill there. Tornadoes in the north still keep on bullying. The T-64 BVK might be able to capture that, but at the same time, with the center lost, Jasp gets enough points here to still go for the W.
Yeah, I don't think if Jasp had gotten the tank killed, and actually did, there is a second Leopard leader right behind it. And also they need to take care of all this West German infantry to actually move in the zone with the leader. And up top here, we're seeing the T-64 is almost trying to get in there. They have some support, and there is no blue recon. There actually was still a PA 1 in the deck. I'm actually a bit surprised by that. But even with this, it is 3 minutes. It's not enough. Not enough. Points-wise.
And yeah,
well, 80 times 3, no.
T-80B gets hit. T-64 BVK pushing through, getting the capture in the north, but this is not good enough for Jasp here. Jasp not getting enough points to get a real take on here again. And Vero is even being able to push deeper here in the center, so Jasp's situation here fully collapses, especially as the T-64 BVK in the north is routed. Fallschirmjägerführer even being able to maybe capture the full zone again. Has a smoke grenade that can play around, whilst the Hyacinth is trying to kill it off with artillery. And Leo 2A3 leader even there coming in there, BO 105, and yeah, second Panzer Grenadier just prevailing. And I'm surprised by seeing both the T-80s and the T-64, T-55s earlier being 0 vet. I believe one of those two tanks on veterancy would have given a decent amount more efficiency, but yeah, Vero back on the +1, only 2 minutes remaining, not enough time here, and most likely also not enough forces on the battlefield for Jasp to change anything. A UATs that actually tried to sneak around, just getting sniped because there's too much infantry here in the center and in the south as well, and there we go. Vero going to take the second map, though in the end, this is still not quite enough for Vero, as if we have a look at the group, it is really close, and it is going down to the tiebreakers inside, as they have as many points as Medi on the board, basically, but Medi has more victories. Medi, and that is the tiebreaker here that counts in the end. Points first, there Tanner is the leader in the group. Medi and Vero are drawn on ties. They had a draw against each other as well, but Medi has 2 wins. Vero only has 1 win, and so it is Medi that advances in this group, as Vero would have needed a win in game number 1 there as well, or draw in game number 1 to get this series through.
Yeah, looking here at the kill count, I think it's this is not scientific, of course, but it really does seem like the Martyrs just are way better represented in the kill feed, and the BMPs are way more represented in the death feed. There were some BMP ones that certainly paid for themselves, but I think the unit itself, its usage in this game did not pay for itself.
Yeah, and we also see the MR10 doing a good bit more than the Hyacinth on the other side. And the Hyacinth wasn't terrible. It did actually get a decent amount of kills as well. It got one Leo 2-3 later there, but it wasn't firing constantly. And if it would have fired constantly, that could have changed maybe the game by allowing stuff to push through Milans. So, and that is pretty interesting. So
Yeah, trading better here. I think the big strengths that would have been with the sixth would have been large infantry battles after the early game, and I think the Marder investment never really allowed them to do this. The Marder investment never really because there were no large groups of strong West German infantry, so very difficult to counter that with large groups of East German or Soviet infantry. So the Marders basically were the center of the force, and the late investment into tanks and the investment into those T-80s on zero vet especially were just never going to be able to fight off everything there in time. The Martyrs were just I think the sixth, somebody in the chat said, I think it was Joker maybe said that whoever picks sixth in urban frontlines, and sixth is not the strongest on urban frontlines. I understand it as a counter pick against the Merschwaffe and Ihawks having the good artillery and all of it. But I just think the buy order, the units should have been different for sixth. Too many BMP1s, not enough Vet 1 tanks.
Yeah, and with that said, guys, we have one more series coming your way. We're gonna go into one more series after this, which is also deciding who moves on in another group. So quick break, guys, and then we're gonna go into another Division 2 action here that is decisive about who moves on into the playoffs here. So here we go. Tasping versus Edbe, and we have a 2 leagues game, as people still seem to like this map. We all don't know why over here, but people still play it, and we have an interesting matchup that is a matchup that I don't believe we have seen before in League, and that's between two pretty decent divisions though, as we have Panzerna versus 35th here, and we also will go into this, but you guys can support this whole event on Matcherino, guys, and help out funding the whole tournament and getting these Division 2 players maybe some love as well, as that is the next stretch goal. If we get to $300, the Division 2 players will get the winner there will get a bit of a share of it as well. So if you click the claim code button, that gets us a bit closer. Go over to Matcherino and add free money to the prize pool. And thanks to all of you who already did. And thanks to all of you who came in with some money here as well. Really much appreciating all these supports every single season. And new people there coming in and helping out as well. All the new people in the chat as well. All the new people in the video. Thanks for all the new follows. And yep, it's Season 3. Just as much fun as Season 1 and 2. And let's talk about the game here. What do you think about 20th Panzerna? As that is the...
Yeah, generally in this situation on this map, going against very powerful airborne divisions such as 35th, you really want to be able to stack up your tanks early on to have light enough tanks that can contest all of their light vehicles, the BMD2s, but not heavy enough that you can't bring them out early on to start out counter-aggressing against the fortified infantry. And 5E, 2nd Panzer Grenadier, on theoretically 16th Belgian, all of them can have these sorts of tank forces, but in the competitive play recently, we have seen 20th Panzerna kind of join in the fray of low-cost tank dips. The amount of T-55s, more so than the T-72s, will be crucial, I think, to build up enough firepower against 35th fortification. But on the other hand, the Honker Rus will allow the Polish armored division to take positions quite early. I think they are actually going to maybe successfully capture the southern town at Olga which would be huge against a forward deploying division. The special forces trait of the Honker-Rus giving them superior speed, but we'll see what's going to come out of that one. We're seeing a significant infantry attack investment into Olga, whereas I think that might be a little bit too much considering on this side, on the left side, the 35th player is going to attack 100% of the time. So I'm not sure if the balancing here is exactly correct, but there are enough tools in 20th Pancerna to fight against infantry divisions as well. They just can't do it on the terms of infantry. They have worse infantry than a lot of other armored divisions, and will have to compensate for that with good coffin launcher play, as well as good as the T-55s getting brought out, and then not losing the T-55s to every random conquerors you meet.
Yeah, and let's talk about the stakes here in this game, as it is Edbe who is closer to the playoffs than Susping. Susping still has a shot here, though, and if Susping wins the series, then it will be a three-way tie in this group. If Edbe wins one map, Edbe will move on to the playoffs. And yeah, so it's a really high-stakes game here for the players involved, as yeah, Susping Edbe just needs 1 point somewhere, and Susping needs a clean win here to get through. 35th absolutely can do that, so let's see how that goes. It's T55 AS coming around. Saperji Stomovi here coming into the north. Decent defensive infantry. No AT weapon on these ones, but they have the Rice launcher, and those are the Apio Rice is a pretty powerful support rocket launcher that has a lot of HE damage, but a relatively lower rate of fire, so it doesn't stun down as quickly as some of the others, but it has more damage output in the long run than, for example, the Flash.
Yeah, so if you look at the deployment of those Saperzi Sturmovi, which are going to be some of the main units to actually fight off the 35th Infantry onslaught, they are getting deployed way too far in. We saw actually in the Ranger game recently with 4th Moto about how powerful it is on the Emma town to fortify your part of the town.
MiG-29 turning away in the wrong moment here, though, nearly allowing the MiG-21 to get a kill there, but it luckily got pushed away by the ZU-23 Gus. Mi-24V helicopter eating a rocket as well, but the Specialny actually might allow the Saperji Stromovi to get that far, as the RPG-7VL here might get some Dejoniki kills, though didn't get his shot out at first, and all the Spetsnaz here getting into the town, though it kills a BMD-2 afterwards, so yeah, still some good blows. In the south, we see a massacre of Susping's units by the Specialny as well, as the super fast honkers gets them pretty far forward, so yeah, it seems like Edbe is going to get the southern town, and the 35th might get the northern town, but that's not good enough for 35th. 35th usually wants to get both towns at once, but that is not going to happen here.
Yeah, this is now a great situation for to use the coffin launcher to get a bunch of kills here if the Spetsnaz and the Desantniki locations are immediately recognizable at the. But the okay, so now the Sapersi, does the coffin launcher get activated here? Because the Spetsnaz are pushing, as you would expect them to.
Yeah, we also saw the Mi-24D going down, so nothing here can deal with the T-55 AS really right now. And that is a good position. The BMD-2's numbers have been reduced. Dejoniki being brought up from the rear, but this was a pretty bloody affair. The Specialny's really taking Susping off guard. Susping not quite realizing how far forward those guys can go and how much they can interfere with the deployment of the 35th, and unloading a bit too late on a bit too many fronts at once, and the Scott 2s, the T-55s here, just shredding through. Good hit there on the Spetsnaz with the T-55S, putting them down to 4 hit points, and I see this as a hard way to play now for the blue player. Ooh, interesting maneuvering though from Edbe, kind of giving up most units in the south or moving back up north, that could maybe backfire.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is what I like to see players doing, and this is what I would personally also like to do. The complete wipeout of Suspect's units down south is giving this moment when, if these units were not fighting, if this extra T-55 AS and the BMP-2s were not actually dealing damage here, I think that would be sacrificing potential. Let's just say the the reinforcements coming in here, these Desantniki, if they were allowed to push in, I think they could maybe finally take out the rest of the Sapersi and capture and prevent the reinforcement from coming in. But as long as these BMPs can take the attention of these forces, I think the reinforcements, the Polish infantry reinforcements, might hold this. The concave building here that is happening naturally is very good. I think this might, if the next engagements are not going to go well for Susping, I think this might be a game. This might like straight up just be game.
Yeah, we see up the cleanup of the units in this town. T-55s and BMP-2s just moving around. The reinforcements of Susping are cut off already. There is a BMD-2. There are some Conquerors units coming around that maybe could find some kills, but it's going to be tough. And the reinforcements in the south are being cut short as well. The Specialny there still in a good ambush position all around. The Mod Sviatdachi pushing forward as well with the RPG. And this is a lot of red forces and BMP-1s and BMP-2s pushing through the north, but there's not enough to deal with those kind of units. The Mi-24s getting shut down. Being brought around now, another one with Kokon missiles, but there is a MiG-29 already in the sky, so it's not going to have an easy time here either, and it needs to do so much work.
Yeah, these are the BMP ones that are 25 points, 15 points cheaper than the ones that we saw last game, and they still have the same standard cannon. So their fire support efficiency is significantly higher. Piekota Shmek here pushing under the commander, walking over this Desantniki, and with a single Piekota Shmek SVD with a BMP-2 already moving towards the industrial area, and the Rozspecialne managing to not stop but at least slow down significantly Susping's counterattack towards the town, means that the T-55 will likely get into position, and or even AA guns getting pushed out here to do the covering duty. I think this is, this might be just like Polish complete victory.
Yeah, we just saw the wipe out of the helicopters as well. The rocket planes here coming in, getting the kill onto the Dezhonniki as well. And this is not going to be easy. Yeah, you said it. The Polish here on the brink of victory. And I don't believe there's enough forces here left for Susping. This is just a cleanup of the 35th, and it was mostly down to the opener. Like, Susping spread out a bit too thin, and then underestimating the speed that those Special Force honkers get. The speed that those Special Force jeeps are allowed to drive in the Polish service, because they are absolutely mad lads when it comes to driving. And yeah, they just went completely nuts and got there just in time to stop both front lines in their tracks, and then the T-55AS did what they needed to do, the BMP-2s did what they needed to do, and the helicopters of Suspings didn't. Like, those were the only kind of saving grace, potentially, but they missed completely, they got killed off too easily, and with that, this game is just spiraling out of control.
Yeah, the Desantniki Metis are not really efficient enough here. They can't fight both the infantry and the fire support. And meanwhile, there are even more T-55s getting ordered in, helicopter to take out this one BMD-2 that might be pushing through the town, theoretically. The 35th doesn't have an attack capacity. The thing that 35th should be doing here, if they're going to do anything, is fortifying the industrial zone, which is happening, but there's just not enough units here. The BMD-2 up top has run out of Congress missiles, and it's still not capable of autocannoning these units on close range. So it won't be able to do anything about these T-55s that are driving down here, and the other BMDs are moving straight into the town, where they can be Well, not currently, but further on can be taken out by even the worse Polish AT weapons. More infantry, more. I think if there was a bomber coming, that could do a lot of damage here with most of Suspect's forces in these buildings.
Yeah, and the BRDM also goes deep in the south. We at least see a Mi-24 VP trying to get him around there, but the MiG-21's just gonna hunt that down most likely again. A Mi-24D on the other side for Edbe here coming around, and there's no AA for Suspect to really stop that, so Edbe's forces there have a good chance of getting through as well. MiG-29 at least going to protect the Mi-24, but the Mi-24 actually eats a lot of damage there just from the BRDM and the Saperji, so it won't be able to push any deeper after this, especially as there is a Zetur yacht that will just shut it down as well. MiG-21 getting pushed back by MiG-29 again, so the air engagement here, it's going well, but BMP-2 versus BMD-2, not so much, and the situation here for Susping is pretty dire.
Yeah, the BRDM2 actually opened fire on the Hind, which caused the Hind to realize that it was there. And the MiG-21 was never ordered to move in and cover. I don't think they realized the gunship was there before it was too late. But even then, most of the damage is done. The fact that there is these investments have had to be done down south, and with so much of the game left here, the points differences right in this current moment are not as relevant as the unit differences up in the front line. T-55s, BMPs, Scots with their extensive machine guns, with an Mi-24D AT4 here with even more rockets. The next attack here, I doubt Suspin can hold.
Yeah, we have a lot of T-55s coming in here. We have a lot of BMP-1s coming in. T-72 rolling in there too. And this is just too much on the battlefield here now. The Hind, it's just piling on, and Susping getting a couple of forces killed off, but it's still not enough. The Mi-24 VP here, that is the only capable force on the battlefield right now, has to get repaired before it can go anywhere again, and it would be needed right now, right here in the north, to have any potential chance of pushing this back, as there is no hard kill power here right now. The MD2s, they have cocons, but you would need more than the 6 that they even carry between them to kill everything here. And at the same time, Edbe's forces can just push on. MiG-29 just wasted as well. This situation is not getting any better.
Yeah, the Poles can provide a lot of decent enough stuff for cheap. Piechota Schmeck, 25-point BMPs, the 80-point T-55s, the Malutkas that are good enough to kill BMDs and cheap enough to go after them one by one. Doesn't have to be afraid to losing them. The coffin launcher T-55 actually was forgotten, is still in the backline there. And a coup getting bought now here to prevent the counterattacks of 35th, which would basically always happen via some kind of air cover. The MiG-27s could easily take out these smoke launcher, unsmoke launcher T-55s that are also so very slow, but the MiG-27s are not necessarily worth investing into those cheap units. And here we can see the LGP-1, oh no, this is the really expensive one, also has significant AA missiles. And it does dodge a coup. The coup is right there, right on time, second coup coming right behind. So if even if Susping here decides that they want to invest into heavy air, that's also not going to work out.
Yeah, and we have a +6 situation now. We have the Nikis getting murdered. We have the Mi-24s getting shut down once more. And as I said, the Mi-24s were kind of the units that needed to do it. But the MiG-21 cheap fighters here that the Polish can bring around just got them time and again, as the MiG-29s were caught out too many times before they could move around. Like the first MiG-29 turning around on that MiG-21 already was a pretty bad moment. And everything after just didn't really improve it there in the air. And yeah, Honkers just winning war.
Yeah, I think it's like the Delta effect, that when the Delta Humvees were first added in the game, and when people started playing 101st, you suddenly had to relearn everything. All the positions, all the stuff that you thought you knew about the game, suddenly the rules were different because the enemy could move at 120 kph. And because not everybody knew about the Spec Ops trait or realized its meaning, they couldn't necessarily even understand why the deltas were always out there. And I remember somebody calling me a hacker once on stream for using them. And now that people have realized and kind of learned down the standard protocols of playing 20 as Pancerna, or is it Pancelos? No, Pancelos is like Romanian, I think, or Hungarian.
It's Pancerna. Yeah.
Pancerna, yeah. So they finally can confidently take these kinds of risks. And Susping was not prepared. Susping didn't micro. Susping didn't realize what was going on. Looked away for a few seconds, and that is the power of the Rose Specialne. You're going to have to play against as this strat gets popular, and it will get more popular. You're going to have to start treating 20th as a potential recon rush division. But of course, if you can prepare these are the specialness that were put to 3 vet, so you only get 4 of them. Skithic, I believe, yesterday on stream said that this is valid, that if you want to use these units as like assault troops, getting them 4 per card and at elite veterancy does pay off because they just fire their AT weapons so much faster. They do so much more damage. So if you start seeing the enemy, if your opener recon sees that they are running 3 vet honker Risses, you might immediately realize that you are getting a Rosp Specialnet in this way that we just saw. So everybody gotta prepare for this. It's gonna be more popular, I think.
Yeah, and you can really see here the opener of 35th getting derailed heavily by those kills. Like those units, it's not a super big amount, but it was super important units that got murdered early on here, and that really derailed the game. So that means here Edbe is through to the playoffs, but we will still obviously cover the second game because it's a full series. So second game here coming your way in a second, guys. Susping versus Edbe. Not quite as high stakes anymore, but still going to be an interesting one. And yeah, as I said, we always cover series in the full, so we're gonna go there after a short break, and let's see what Edbe and Susping can bring in that. So here we go again, everybody. Edbe versus Susping, game number 2, death row action, and we have another airborne division here coming in for Susping, whilst Edbe is maybe playing the division of the hour that finally can get its place in the sunlight completely. Like, it had a couple of times where it was glimpsing in the light, and people still underestimate it, though, to this day, I think, as even after 2 challenger buffs, First UK is not played as much and is not being endorsed as much as it should be in my eyes. It has forward deployment, it has one of the strongest, if not the strongest IFV in the game with the Warrior Applique, and it has a fantastic tank setup by now as well, with the price points they are at now. So it's going to be interesting to see how 76, a pretty one-dimensional or two-dimensional division instead of the multifaceted First UK, is coming around here, as it has forward deploy and expensive strong air. That's the 2 things of 76, and we're gonna see how that goes against it.
Yeah, Applique being the best IFV for the price, arguably, yeah. But in general, I mean, BMP3s exist, so you gotta be careful of what you call the best IFV in the game. I think First UK, the reason why it hasn't been getting as much play is because we just got the Nemesis DLC, and people are still into the Northfac stuff. So I think First UK is just kind of passé. It's not even the buffs here. Even as they make it more viable, people have bad memories of it being underpowered, and they also don't have as much experience with all the new stuff. So the new stuff is getting priority in the zeitgeist, I believe. But yeah, you're correct about now that the tank tab has been whittled down to be so that nothing is really that egregious, and the prices kind of reflect the impracticability of the 40 kph and 50 kph speeds that the British tanks come into. The Para Rover Milans and Terriers Para have always been, as not to mention the SAS Patrol, they've always been really good early game units. You can pair them up with Harrier bombers. You can follow that up and try to target enemy AA early on, and then that can give you a really powerful air snowball. All of this is pretty decent on ranked, but in competitive play, it just hasn't shined that much outside of a few maps and matchups. Mount River and Death Row being the ones where First UK is most played. I think the people who hold most loyalty to First UK and have been holding have actually been the Russians, like Procomi, Scuff, all of these guys. I think they have brought the first out every once in a while, probably because they know so well about Second UK, and the Gazelles are a really powerful unit.
Yeah, Cheech has played it in the past, so Cheech mostly played it as air spam. That has been nerfed a bit. Like, that was its one time in the glory, and that got nerfed relatively quickly when it got discovered by the big, wider audience, that how OP the Harrier spam could be there, and it was put on hold, and the air spam reduced a bit. It still has amazing tornado fighters, though, so it is still pretty well covered up there in the skies. And on the other side, yeah, the 76, it has good, really fantastic, actually, forward rush capabilities. And it follows all of that up with a fantastic air tap, MiG-31s, and the Su-24s in all their facets are fantastic. But outside of that, you don't have helicopters, you don't have any tanks, and that both are big weaknesses. You don't have long-range AA, that is pretty painful as well. And your artillery is not bad with the Nonas, but it's not amazing with the Nonas either.
Yeah, the Nonas can work very well around the early and especially the mid game, but in the late game, when your opponent's gonna have numbers and they're gonna probably have a little redundancy out there, the damage of the heavy mortars just isn't enough. And in the late game, you're gonna have so much stuff to bother about anyways. The 76, one of the big weaknesses I think that people understand but don't really vocalize is that it is locked into the very expensive air. The Su-24s, you get every kind of Su-24 and then some, and you also get the MiG-31s, but you don't have versatility. And I think the really good air spam divisions have a they have a build-up of aircraft. They have a cheap one that you can bring out in numbers early on and have the inherent numbers advantage if you're trying to swarm an anti-air site, for instance. The fact that you only get the expensive stuff on 76 means that the air is kind of locked into a late game or a mid-game heavy investment sort of a thing. Here we're seeing two MiG-31s. These are the AA2 variants, which also have heat-seeking missiles, and two of them patrolling here, not even buying one and leaving 300 points for yourself. So in case you spot the enemy, you also get a second one. This is a huge investment from Susping, and I think the moment Epep is going to spot this, they recognize, well, damn, I ain't going to be flying any planes for a moment. Wow, this is not a plane-friendly environment. Showing those from Susping, just a big mistake here, I think.
Yeah, means also Edwin now knows 600 points advantage on the ground. That should be snowballable at some point. Like, 600 points difference, that's two full-on big tanks and a bit difference here. That's two challengers and a warrior with infantry, basically. That now Edbe can have as an advantage to push down some lane. And Susping, yeah, really over-investing into the AA, and I also don't quite get it, because it's not like you need to be scared of helicopters rushing your forward deployment or of a massive plane swarm rushing your forward deployment against First UK. So the double MiG-31 opener seems pretty weird to me.
Yeah, they just like you. Why do you even show them? Just keep it as points. It's a fighter; it can deploy in seconds if you see something. And I think the only way that could have paid out if if the first was opening with a straight up air and helo rush, which just is not really going to happen generally because they have Terrier's Para. So why would they try to get helicopters out there? Because the SAS patrol, the Terrier's Para, they can get you a lot of ground, and the helicopters can be bought later when you spot something. They are only 20 points per, and even the Lynxes are quite cheap.
Yeah, Skimitar's here now pushing through the south. So even the Charlie point is not going in favor of Susping, which should be the point where 76 has the biggest advantage. The Fagots at least got a couple of, the Luatzes got a couple of nice kills here. BMD2's pushing forward currently, but there's a couple of Warrior Pleaks having to say something about that. And they have the better missiles, they have the better protection, and Chieftain's now coming along to help this whole shenanigans out as well. So Susping's infantry push into a Foxtrot, which is an interesting dynamic as well, trying to push with infantry into that zone. Not working out either. And I feel like if you bring the MiG-31s, you at least want to follow it up with a bomber, but no LGB bomber or so here brought out yet either. And I feel like that's the only way that this could recuperate, if you then get like a couple kills on Chieftains and upleaks with those Su-27 with 4 LGBs.
Yeah, sending 4 infantry squads and then having them all on the open ground there was just I don't think that's the play really. You could have them, some of those squads take literally any other positions. If you get 1 infantry squad out there, that is enough for them to fight for it. If supported by a helicopter, BMD, not helicopter, but BMD2 or a plane, sending 4 infantry squads, that just seems a little bit redundant. A very nice bombing run out there, does not get any kills, but suppresses the entire attack. I think this might put a little bit of a dampener to the British mech attack, but the British mech attack, there is nothing in front of it. So if Etpe feels a bit daring, and I think they might, the mech might just keep pushing through here.
Yeah, there's nothing left here. Like, all the infantry was deployed out in the open, and all of it was killed by now by IFVs or tanks. And that's just not how you play 76 in this matchup. And the reinforcements in the south, they get annihilated by Skimithars here as well. So that is not a great situation either. So all 3 fronts just completely lost, and it is mostly down to that double MiG-25, MiG-31 opener, as that is just something you outright can't afford.
How many, what are the Luazes? They're like 40, 45 points. How many Luazes can you get for the price of a single, how many forward deploying ADGM units can you get for the price of a single MiG-31? A MiG-31 that was redundant even from the start. Like like that's what I say when you're locked into only having heavy air choices. A little expensive air choices, a little decision like that can cost you so much, and then also a roll of the dice can also cost you a lot, because we all know how the RNG works. You just might get bad luck, and suddenly you're stuck with a 300-point spending decision that is not doing anything.
Yeah, and I just had the little bug here that a couple of people had. I think I had it for the first time, that my game just froze there for a second. I hope the stream is still fine. That was a bit weird. Yeah. Hopefully Legion comes in with the hotfix there in this week or next week. A lot of people I know in 10v10s especially struggle with this issue. But yeah, this situation here for Susping is... it's not going well. Susping's not really having much behind the lines. And yes, our armored rifles here now pushing forward. Warrior Pleak coming in with the Milan 2 on top, with the autocannon, and just pushing through there. A lot of extra armor on the side. Skimitar getting the Dejoniki Medis under fire, getting some good hints there. Armored rifles here, slowly pushing forward through the town, and yeah, there's just nothing here. Like, we can talk about it as much as we want, but the Air Force being used weirdly, and the ground forces then also still trying to be aggressive. That's not how you win with a VDV division. Like, you you can't underestimate that the enemy will have something eventually there as well. And the enemy will be there eventually. You can't put infantry and foxtrot. Like, the enemy has to put something somewhere. Yes, you might be there a bit quicker, but that quicker doesn't mean that you have more DPS. Most likely you will have less DPS, because you pay extra for the VDV, forward deployment and on. So you need to be in defensive positions, and that's just not where Susping was here. And that just got punished hard everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, when Alpha exists on this town, and you have Spetsgruppe V in your deck, which can 1v1 every single unit in first UK's arsenal, having a Spetsgruppe V with a couple of Desantniki supporters and open up and just try to break into Alpha. See if your infantry is powerful enough. That's when you can use your MiG-31 to cover it from enemy bombers that will most likely try to react to your attack. And then when you have the more open area where the tanks are going to rule, the chieftains are going to be heavier than everything you have out there, but they're going to be vulnerable to even the Lua's fagots. So just have a bunch of those things out there, and don't let the enemy tanks engage you right at the start. And now what happened was the exact opposite. The area where the British had not invested anything in was not threatened, and barely invested. There was 2 units. And then the part where the British mech attack was most predictably going to go was immediately donated a bunch of kills. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, BMD2s here still on the defense, but Susping 2 times here in a row, trying to do a VDV opener and kind of failing with it. And I think that's just maybe getting away a couple too many times with it in ranked. Like, in ranked against like some slightly lower players than what Edbe's caliber is here, you might get away with this. You might get away with getting the cake and eating it too, and just pushing in with double MiG-31s to really be sure that you don't get air rushed, and still grabbing all the spots because the enemy is a bit slower and a bit more scared of VDV. But Edbe knows what's going on and can deal with that. So you have to be more efficient there. You can't take those inefficiencies. That's not allowed in Division 2 anymore. Every inefficiency gets punished, and every mispositioning gets punished as well. Players are super solid in the fundamentals in Division 2, and the difference is just the high-level mechanics and the high-level strategies and extra understandings, like the meta level, in comparison to Division 1, basically. So if you don't really see and don't respect the fundamentals here, you get punished.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about the 20th and 1st getting played here by Etzbe, is that back in the day, way before we had any info about Northag, I used to theorize about a future Polish tank division that would be the packed 1st UK. That was back when 1st UK was very powerful. That you would have a bunch of cheap MiG-21 bombers in the Su-22s, you would have airborne and some kind of commandos, maybe Marines as forward deployment units, and then a bunch of T-72s. That was basically my vision of the forward deployment tank division getting its packed alternative. Now, that division never happened, but we're seeing that Etbe playing 2 of these divisions, and in the case of the Ross Specialne, it seems like the forward deployment tank division for the Pact is still 20th Panzer. The forward deployment component isn't as strong, but with the Ross Specialne having the speed buff, that gives them so much tactical flexibility, and even a chance to use their recon infantry, their pretty sizable recon infantry at like 7-man squads, to function a little bit like the Terriers Para and SAS Patrol function in the 1st UK. And of course, the tank, the fact that they have T-55s in 20th also is a balancing factor here. So you can't give them, every sort of tool, of course.
Yeah, we see more BMDs coming in here. We see more of those light tools trying to come around, but the air war is getting lost, and there's by now a lot of heavy units in the fight. The Tornado just winning outright against the MiG-31. Bit of a bad engagement they're taking, but also just a bit unfortunate, to be honest. And the Challengers by now and the Chieftains just too many here to really push through that with just BMDs. The Conqueror is not enough to kill that, and the BMDs get killed left, right, and center here. Whilst the +4 is already on here for Edbe, so this game is most likely not going anywhere right now for Susping.
Yeah, if you remove the only advantage that a forward deploying division truly has, which is the forward deploying early game advantage, whether you remove it by the player just making bad decisions regarding spending and deployment, or you remove it by having the Ross Specialne, you're immediately put into a situation where the other player is gonna have to scram. They're gonna have to figure out something, and a lot of the time they're just not gonna be able to do that. You can play your comfort game once you learn to do this, and once you learn to predict the deployments. You can play your comfort game. You can build up leagues and chieftains, because you're not losing any. You can even take them at some cards of them at 2 vet. And then, the enemy is gonna have to fight for their lives from a backline position because you either took a bunch of their recon units out with commandos or just messed up the forward deployment. This is why we tell to new players to not start out the game by playing airborne divisions. Playing airborne is a traditional way for noobs to kind of get comfortable with the game, because you get that space. You don't need to know the maps. You most likely are going to be there first, wherever there is. And in that way, you also don't really learn the deployments as well if you're playing airborne. And also, airborne, it's so easy to mess up. So easy. And I think this is an unfortunate game, but here we saw what happened. It is easy to mess up.
Yeah, the LGB just got brought in as a kind of last hope weapon, but the tornado was there to shut it down. And even if the tornado wouldn't have been there, the tractor pierce and javelins most likely would have been as well. So the net is too tight by now for anything to slip through at this stage. And Edbay doesn't need to push deeper, but they most likely can push deeper into Delta here soon as well. So yeah, Susping running out of air to breathe here right now, getting completely cut off, and that's the power of Snowball in this game. Like 200, 300 points less at a space in this game means that you take 200, 300 points worse trades, and then you just fall behind quite quickly. And that's why a misinvestment into artillery too early. That's why a misinvestment into an airplane that doesn't do anything, or a CV tank that you just keep back in the rear, can cost you so much in the game. Like, we have seen it a couple of times in the last couple of days, where we casted these games, where people just had units at the wrong time, off from the front line, not impacting it. Like we saw earlier, for example, with the barrack instead of the Krug investment by Sorel Skunta and so on. And that just snowballed so quickly on this high level of play. So yeah, be careful of the snowball, because bigger numbers beat smaller numbers in RTS generally. And if you have a combined arms game, it's getting even worse.
Yeah, I also buying the zero vet T80s in the Urban Frontlines game. Those T80s spent most of their time just recovering cohesion and running back, hoping not to get stunned. Once again, proving how important the Vet 1 is for main battle tanks, because it offers you 3 times the cohesion recovery compared to zero vet.
Yeah, and here comes the Tornado with another great run. HE run on the Su-24 on the other side. Getting a bit of damage in, but gets gunned down. That's not worth it. LGB coming around, trying to finish off the Challenger. Most likely going to succeed with that, but getting gunned down most likely by the Tractor Pierce in return. So another suicide run here, as the MiG-31 not getting the kill. Evor plane goes down as well. MiG-31 gets a kill onto the Tornado finally, but Tractor Pierce will push it back, getting it hit, getting it damaged, and we have like 6 units on the battlefield here right now for Susping versus 30 plus on the side of Edbe, and that is all you need to know about the current state of this game.
Yeah, I respect Susping of transitioning into the air and trying to go out there, but there was no way there wasn't at least like 3 or 4 track repairs on the ground already. And even if there wasn't, the amount of damage those planes would have done would have never surpassed the reinforcement capacity of first.
Yeah, the tractor up here is pretty good for it not being a radar AA, and that is pretty annoying for a deck like 76, where you want to hit the enemy with a seed and shutting it down, and having it spotted with seed so that your LGB can hit it after. So yeah, no non-radar AA that actually has a decent range, like the Rapier, like the Chaparral. Yeah, those are just pretty painful for a deck like this. And yeah, in the end,
Strela M3s as well. The track rapier, the track rapier has because it's not a radar AA, it has a really long aim time of like 2.5 seconds. But after that, if it can fire rounds in a quick succession, which is why it's really good against helicopters, of course. But also, if the enemy just happens to fly around, it can be surprising how much DPS the track rapiers can bring out.
Yeah, and here we go in the end. Susping losing the game number 2 as well, and Edbe moving on to the playoffs. It was just 2 really botched openers here by Susping. It's not really indicative of what Susping is able to do when they have a good footing in the game. But yeah, this game just went out of control pretty quickly once more. And that means Edbe in Division 2, in Group 2, in Division 2 of Season 3, that way around, is moving on here. And that means we have a Division 2 playoffs group as well, as we see Doozy and Joker getting through in Group A. We see MJ Player and Edbe here in Group B. MJ Player with 4 wins. Tanner on the way back to Division 1 maybe again. Just so is Maddie. So the 2 favorites here getting Group C under control. And then Group D, Bendover and Jeremy. So that is going to be interesting, as we will have Jeremy versus Doozy, Tanner versus Edbe. I'm pretty hyped for this one, because Edbe is playing so clean, but Tanner is always pretty clean and having a small little jump on it. So that, for the finals, I'm super excited for. MJ Player versus Maddie, and then Bendover versus Joker. So all of these, pretty interesting.
Yeah, Bendover really playing surprisingly well in the last games, and I'm also very excited to see Peary Tanner versus either Doozy or ZX Sevister. In general, I'm interested in seeing Tanner play. I believe a second division is exactly for the players who don't care about being hardcore enough to be in Division 1, but it is a space for skilled people and players to really experiment and find out the kind of stuff that you can adopt as a player. You don't have to be a pro player, but you can just copy the kind of stuff that people do to get that sweet Division 2 prize money. And I think Tanner, Medi, those kinds of people who have been traditionally very good at this.
Yeah, that's why they're back here. And they, Tanner and Medi are the gauge between Division 1 and Division 2. They historically always have been. Like Tanner and Medi, in Division 1, they always struggle to stay alive and never quite advance into the playoffs. But in Division 2, they pretty much shred usually. So if you want to get to Division 1, you just have to beat those guys. So it's nice to have both of them here as the watermark in as well, as to see where these other guys are. And have them both split off as well, so we potentially could get them in the finals again, or we see new faces moving towards Division 1, and all of that is exciting. Yeah, all of these players pretty awesome as well, so I'm quite excited for the playoffs of Division 2 as well. There's a lot of storylines to be written here.
Yeah, I hate to say, but I really gotta leave. I gotta be up in 6 hours to take a man to the hospital, so I can't really stay here anymore. Thank you, Protoss. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody. And I'm very excited to the waiting for the next casts already. Have a nice day, everybody.
Yeah, and I'm gonna end it here as well, guys. So thanks for watching. We gotta send you over to Bocohen, who is playing the amazing, it's so much entertainment, guys. And I wish I would be a bit more casual, so I could enjoy Warno on the same casual level that Bocohen and his guys are. But yeah, we're gonna send you over to Bocohen and his lovely multiplayer Warno Army General. It's so much fun, and I'm looking forward to getting one Army General multiplayer round with 4 guys, or maybe in the future, if Fusion never ends, it maybe even more. But 4 guys maybe as well. So yeah, see you there, guys. And